This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Friday, special Friday edition of the Troll Patrol. We have the Joe Biden, George Stephanopoulos interview on ABC. Apparently it's airing on the main channel now at 8 o'clock. But we get it, us internet peoples, we get it at 8:30 here on ABC News Live. So the first segment of it actually aired on the evening news on ABC earlier tonight. Joe Biden on the campaign trail in Wisconsin earlier today. We're going to hear from him. He says he is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, running for president. He is not dropping out. I have my doubts. Clinically, M. Lord, Phoebe, Purgatorus, good evening. Welcome. Welcome. There were some people in the YouTube before we even got on the stream. I want to say hey to you guys. I don't even see it anymore. Comments did not. You people who I did not recognize, I would like to shout you out over on YouTube. A criminal and Karma's cunt. I love both of you. I think you're amazing. Karma's cunt. Love that screen name. Thank you guys for being here. Maybe you lurk. Maybe you watch later, but we're glad to have you. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. Let's get a little high. I didn't realize that my bong is not packed. So you guys enjoy the meme of the day. Well, I pack a bong. I iced it. I made tea a few minutes ago. So the tea is piping hot. So I was getting ice to go in my tea, and I was like, you know what? Let's ice the bong. Kelly, good evening. Remember, your dog isn't afraid of fireworks. He's just a commie who hates freedom. Good evening, Fuzzy Simba. Good evening. Welcome. So we're going to do the Biden interview here at 8:30. So you got plenty of time. Let's get high. You're not high enough for this shit. Of course you aren't. This is apparently his last-ditch effort to try to keep his job as the candidate president from the Democratic Party. I would love to make Biden resign. I don't know that I have that kind of power, warlord. I'm gonna do what I can, I guess. I think that Kamala would be better. I'm on the Kamala train. I want Mamala. We need a Mamala. However, last night playing clips of Vice President Harris, it was very clear that she is repulsive to many in the chat. Warlord, you can't say those kinds of things. I'm just saying I would rather have Kamala than Trump or Biden. I think she would be better on Israel. I honestly do. She is apparently, Phoebe, apparently she is like Hillary. They say if you put Hillary in a room, 20, 30 people, she's incredibly personable. She cracks people up. She's very easy to talk to. But once you get her in front of like 100 people, this is the way the book Shattered described her. That once you, rather than shabusiness, I would rather have shabusiness. Tones, good evening. Okay, I was thinking the other day, like if I ever got the chance to pitch a TV show, if I could pitch one thing right now, what would it be? And that's what I came to the conclusion, the Taylor Shabusiness story. I have also met Bill Clinton. I did not meet Hillary. I've met Bill. I think I've shown the picture on the stream of Bill with I don't think he has his arm around me. I think the governor has his arm on me. But I'm like standing right next to him. No, not like that's any like fine accomplishment or anything. Socialist aunt, welcome. Good evening. Oh shit, you met Trump? I have not met Trump. I'm perfectly honest with you, I loved Trump. I thought through the 2000s, I always thought Trump was hilarious anytime he'd pop onto shit. Thought he was funny on Howard Stern. He was always funny on Dave. He'd be funny when he'd do cameos on TV shows and shit. It's not funny anymore. It's not funny anymore. Well, Venus, it's not just Bill. Bill was the perfect vessel for that time period. The entire Democratic Party had been shocked. I mean, what do you do when you're coming off of 12 years of Republicans just kicking your ass? And I mean, the Ronald Reagan defeat of Jimmy Carter is astounding. That is a hell of a trouncing. So, like, I can understand the Democrats' apprehension. And we didn't know. We didn't know that we were entering this neoliberal hellscape. I think Bill's not so much the problem. The problem is that Al Gore pivoted away from the successes of the Clinton administration. And he picked Joe Lieberman for a number of reasons, but one, to appear less left-wing radical, and two, to appear morally righteous in the face of Bill Clinton's sex scandals. Papa Joe just kind of makes you seem more moral. This country would be completely different if we'd had a Gore presidency from 2000 to 2008. And who knows? If we'd had a Gore presidency, Obama might not happen. Bernie might happen in 2008. A Bernie-type movement. But also it's the neoliberal failures of the Bush administration, which causes Occupy Wall Street. It's the collapse of Enron and the financial the recession of 2008, which also leads to the Tea Party. I mean, it's all. I'm just talking out my ass here. Biden was in Wisconsin earlier today holding a rally. Once again, we're going to do the Biden interview with George Stephanopoulos. That comes up at 8:30. It is apparently airing on ABC right now, but we get it online at 8:30 on ABC News Live, which I think is better. Lets us get a little high. Lets us do a little news. When we come on the other side of the Biden interview, we're going to do new UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. We're going to hear from him. We're going to hear Rishi Sunak give his goodbyes to Downing Street. We've got a few different crime stories. What the fuck is going on in Fort Worth, Texas? Why are we having so many crazy stories out of Fort Worth, Texas? Can someone explain this one to me? We've got like these aren't separate things. This is a kidnapping and a shooting, multiple people dead. A car wash shootout leaves 3 people dead, including 2 children. I think there was a kidnapping involved in it. It's a whole... What is up in Fort Worth? It's like asking about Florida. Fair enough. Fair enough. Tell him doesn't go outside anymore. It's not safe. We got a few crime stories and we got some other shit to talk about. Biden, defiant, says he is staying in the race. Now, Socialist aunt, you're right. Murder rates go up in correlation with the temperature. Because that's one of the things that they'll tell you in like a statistics class. They'll be like, when ice cream sales go up, murder goes up. It's an example of like, correlation not equaling causation. It's the temperature that causes both of them to go up. Because people are outside more. They're around more people. We got fireworks stories. Apparently, people blew some shit up yesterday. A lot of injuries to report on. But speaking of injured, infirmed over here, Joe Biden was in Wisconsin earlier today. He says he's staying in the race, and he plans on beating Trump.
Go back to when I was covering President Biden during the 2020 campaign. He hit some speed bumps throughout the course of that long, crowded Democratic primary race, and at every time when he faced some setbacks and there were questions about whether he could win the nomination, what we often saw from then candidate Biden was to raise the stakes of the election, to talk about the threat that 4 more years from Donald Trump would pose. At the time, he was trying to play into this idea that he was the most electable of the Democratic candidates, and so when he was facing setbacks, he would raise the stakes of the election by making it about Trump. We heard him use some of the strongest terms we've heard to date in terms of what Donald Trump and a second Trump term would mean for this country, ending his speech by saying we need to exile Donald Trump politically from this country, talking about that immunity decision from the Supreme Court as we hear the president come out one last time to tell this crowd that he won't forget this. That speaks to the emotion of this moment as well. But Yamiche, the other thing that I found so fascinating about this speech was not just what President Biden had to say about Donald Trump, his opponent in the general election, but what he signaled about his frustration with what we're hearing within the Democratic Party. You heard the president in a very defiant way talk about how voters across this country in Democratic primaries all across this country.
M. Lord, are you thinking about turning libertarian?
Party, and that he was not going to step away from this process. Also worth noting, though, that he made a point of praising his vice president and talking about the important role that she is playing in the party. So this is once again an important opportunity for the president. It wasn't a flawless speech. He did have an occasional misstep or two verbally.
Yes, he did.
We are going to focus on them intently going forward. The question now for Democrats is, who is standing in the way of the president of the party uniting to beat Donald Trump? Is it a wounded candidacy in Joe Biden, who's obviously made it clear he's going to continue to fight, or is it those who are creating an unnecessary, in the view of
show the clip, motherfucker,
around his candidacy going forward, that are what is hurting the party at this point?
And Mike, you bring up the idea of panic. There is a lot of chaos around the Biden campaign, and you bring up the fact that he did talk about supporting the vice president. He said he enjoyed and liked the fact that he was getting the support of the vice president. I know sources have told me that she is continuing to fiercely defend him, even as her loyal allies say, if he does step down, don't overlook her. But Aaron, take us through. You're at the White House. Talk to us a bit.
If he does step down,
what you make of the president's defiant tone here and those strong words we heard from him where he was saying he was not getting out of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the sort of energy I think that many in the campaign have been saying President Biden can muster and display for people. We saw him obviously energetic, fist pumping at one point there as he talked about when you get knocked down, you get back up. I thought it was also notable that he said very clearly that
brother, just go enjoy your last few years.
People voted for him in the primaries, and then he made reference to people trying to push him out. We've heard
Jill seems like a lovely woman
who have called for President Biden to drop out of the race.
Sit on the back porch and sip lemonade with her.
On background and without giving their names have said they'd like to see that too. I want you to hear a little bit of what the president had to say.
Yes, play the clip.
People who are trying to push him out, as he said.
But ever since then, there's been a lot of speculation. What's Joe going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? What's he going to do? Well, here's my answer. I am running and going to win again. Well, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump.
And in every
notice the edit. Notice the edit there. I do believe that is this clip, which has been making the rounds. MSNBC covering for him.
I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
I'll beat Donald Trump. I'll beat him again in 2020.
Oh, by the way, we're going to do it again in 2024. I learned.
Minor gaffe, but just worth pointing out. And that's what we're looking for tonight. Apparently, there's going to be no edits, no cuts to the George Stephanopoulos interview we're going to be seeing here in just a few minutes. 15 minutes away from the George Stephanopoulos interview. After that, we're going to do last words from Keir Starmer as PM. Hear from the new PM. I'm sorry, the last words of Rishi Sunak as PM. Hear from the new PM, Keir Starmer. We've got plenty of crime stories. Are you glad Jeremy Corbyn retained his seat? Warlord. Warlord is definitely happy that Nigel Farage won his election, aren't you? Aren't you, buddy? Yes, Purg, just why can't he go and just enjoy his life? Nancy Pelosi. Feinstein, before she kicked the bucket, why did you want to live your last years flying back and forth from Washington, D.C.? Sit on the back porch, enjoy the fucking weather, hold hands with your loved one. Mitochondria, good evening. Or Diablonantis. Diablonitis. Boom! Yesterday, during the 4th of July barbecue, we flipped back over to Joe, but he had just finished speaking. Apparently he had a big gaffe during that part of the event.
There's 7,000 people waiting at the gate to get in. So if I don't finish this, they can't come in. So maybe if you're hanging around, I'm going to sneak back out if that's okay, all right? Thank you. Remember that famous expression?
Hold on.
They also serve who only stand and wait. I remember when our son was deployed, my wife would go to stand in the sink in the morning drinking her.
What about the end of Fight Club, Tones? Like when everything blew up? Or when he realized he was talking to himself? Like what about it? Or that Meatloaf was dead?
Coffee and saying that prayer. Worrying, always concerned, and all of you. So we owe you. This could not be done without the family support. So thank you. We love you, and I really mean it from the bottom of my heart.
You don't seem too bad.
Thank you. You got me, man. I'm not going anywhere. All right. All right, I'll come back out when they open the gate, okay? Thank you. One last thing. You know, I used to think when I was a senator, there were always congestion on the highways. There's no congestion anymore. None. We go
There's
on the
not?
highway, there's no congestion. And
10 minutes
they
clinically.
Stop talking. They'll say, we just shut down all the roads, Mr. President. You're going to lose all the votes if you don't get in. But anyway.
The ABC interview is airing right now on the main channel. They showed the first clip of it during the nightly news. We get it at 8:30. That's when it plays on ABC News Now on the ABC News website. So we're 10 minutes away from the interview, but it's currently playing on ABC News right now. When I was a kid, I would have been really pissed off if TGIF had been preempted for a Joe Biden fucking interview.
I'll be back out. Thank you. I love you. Thank you.
I'm not.
I didn't think he looked too bad there. People were passing that clip around. See, this is, I guess, maybe a right winger. This was totally normal. Y'all leave Joe alone. He did say thank you, 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 thank you. I'm assuming this guy's just a stupid right winger since he has a talk show. Don't go play in traffic clinically. Family Matters is what came on at 8 o'clock, I do believe. For years and years and years, that was the staple at 8 o'clock. I think the 8:30 time slot would rotate a little bit. Honestly, I think the 8 o'clock time slot might have been Perfect Strangers originally when it first started. So yeah, we're about 9 minutes away from the Biden interview. I thought I had more clips here. It related to Biden, but apparently I do not. So let me just show you. I don't know what kind of an event was going on here. I do believe this took place yesterday. This was Provo, Utah. 4th of July. All of the crowd. Damn! Was it a cheerleader or somebody in the band? Multiple people struck. I love that the caption says, "Nothing more American than missing your target and mortar striking civilians." Let's get the full story. Multiple people injured. Apparently nobody died. Pretty lucky there. Freedom fire.
Following that breaking news, you may have heard off the top of the show a fireworks mishap of sorts at Stadium of Fire. This happened in Provo a little bit earlier tonight.
And now we're going to get back out live to Jim Spiewak outside of the Lavelle Edwards Stadium at BYU. Jim.
Jamie and Mark, we're just a couple blocks outside the stadium. There are a ton of people out here, a lot of people lining all of the blocks out here. Just a few seconds ago, the fireworks are still going off. I don't know if that was the grand finale or if they're still going on, but the show has resumed after fireworks tipped over and shot into the crowd of people earlier tonight during the opening ceremonies. We do have some viewer video that was sent in to us. I want to go ahead and show you some of that and let you listen in as well for just a few seconds. Take a listen and look and watch this. Quite the scary situation. So here's what Provo police are confirming with us tonight. Multiple people were injured. Again, this happened during the opening ceremonies just after the jet flyover. Fireworks did go into the stands. Some people had to be taken to the hospital. Now, we do not know
fell over
how many people were injured or the extent of their injuries. We do know that BYU police, they were here on scene. They did have to pause the show for just a brief, or for a short while at least, while everything was assessed. But again, the show has since resumed here in the 10 o'clock hour. Now, I did reach out to the Freedom Festival folks who are putting on this show. They did send us a statement. Here's what it says, quote, "Safety is of the utmost importance to us. All pyrotechnics are thoroughly checked before the show. They were rechecked again after the incident. Our thoughts are with those who were impacted by this incident, and we are following up with them to make sure they are okay." So again, multiple people injured after fireworks were shot into the crowd here at the Freedom Festival in Provo.
The Freedom Festival.
Don't know how many people were injured, so still a lot of questions to be answered here. Again, multiple people injured in Provo.
Multiple people were injured in New York City last night during 4th of July celebration as a drunk driver plowed into the crowd.
3 people were killed, 8 others
killed
after a truck drove into a Lower East Side park last night. We're learning more about 2 of the victims. Police say 59-year-old Lucy
good evening,
and her son, 38-year-old Hernan Pickney, were killed when an allegedly drunk and high driver slammed his truck into a 4th of July celebration. Antoine Lewis live at the police
blame the pot
on the Lower East Side, where the driver is being held and is expected to be walked at any moment. Antoine, what can you tell us?
Teresa, let's talk a little bit more about that driver now.
Why do these drunk drivers never die? Why is it always like they have victims, but they end up like with minor scratches on them?
Police have identified him as 44-year-old Daniel Hayden of Monmouth Junction, New Jersey, which is about 46 miles from where we are here in the lower Manhattan area of Manhattan. The precinct behind me, you talked about the suspect being walked. He is being held there right now. That walk was supposed to happen sometime around noon. It has since been delayed because
this is a gigantic truck.
Charges against Hayden are now being upgraded.
People screaming and hollering, and they're under the truck.
But the screams from witnesses were in vain. Police say around 9 Thursday night, 44-year-old Daniel Hayden drove this gray Ford F-150 pickup into a crowd of people gathered at Corlier's Hook Park near Water Street and the FDR on the Lower East Side. Authorities say that Hayden was intoxicated and hit 11 people. Emergency crews were on scene in less than 3.5 minutes. The FDNY says 4 people were pinned under the vehicle. The department confirms that 3 of those victims have now died.
They encountered a pickup truck on top of 4 victims. They used airbags, floor jacks.
Happy 4th!
In order to lift the vehicle off of the victims.
Responding officers who did arrive on the scene did smell some alcohol. There were people who were there at the scene who grabbed the driver, removed the driver, and made sure the driver...
God bless America.
Lucille Pinkney and her 38-year-old son, Hernan, both of whom live nearby. Both of whom are being remembered by those who knew them.
They were amazing. He was a loving son. She was a loving mom. You know, and it's sad. It is sad.
Biden interview in T-minus 2 minutes.
Community that they could never give back. Life, once it's gone, that's it. There's no repairing.
Teresa, as you come back to us live, by all accounts, friends say that the mother and son, the Pinkneys, were very, very close. Police have not identified the 3rd victim. We're still waiting for that. Once again, the walk of the suspect, Daniel Hayden, 44 years old, from Monmouth Junction, New Jersey, is supposed to happen sometime this afternoon. We have crews in place covering the door, as well as we are keeping our eye on the door here as well. He initially had been facing charges of DWI, including 1st, 2nd, and 3rd degree, as well as operating a vehicle without a license. But once again, we're hearing those charges very likely will be upgraded. But this is the very latest from now. We'll keep you updated.
I would assume he's getting
back inside to you. No way to
murder charges.
This is a horrible story.
It's a horrible story, Antoine. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Antoine. You sexy man. Are we going to ABC? Here it is. Apparently, this is the commercial beforehand. The ABC News George Stephanopoulos interview with Joe Biden. Coming at you within minutes. Maynard is like right here on my foot. He's been here for several minutes. This is kind of odd. So here we go. Already aired on ABC.
ABC News Live.
It is now. I'll see if I can get him. He's hard to corral.
Good evening, everyone, on this momentous evening. I'm Juju Chang. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Tonight, ABC News has an exclusive interview with President Joe Biden. Our George Stephanopoulos sat down with the president for his first televised interview since that poor debate performance against Donald Trump. President Biden says he is committed to staying in the race and confident that he will prevail and beat Donald Trump. The president was called on to answer for his faltering appearances and whether he still has the mental and physical fitness for another term in the White House.
Here we go.
Our team is standing by, of course, for analysis, but first, let's get to the interview.
Mr. President, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the debate. You and your team have said you had a bad night. But your friend Nancy Pelosi actually
already had an edit.
Is on the minds of millions of Americans. Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
You know, you say you were exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days before the debate, spent 6 days in Camp David. Why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked them, they did a COVID test because they were trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus. I didn't.
Virus?
I had a really bad cold.
And did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Well, what I want to get at is what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Yeah, look, the whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or the National Security Council, for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now, or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times. The way the debate ran, not my fault, nobody else's fault. No one else's fault.
But it seemed like you were having trouble from the first question in, even before he spoke.
Seemed like you're having trouble with the first question here.
I just had a bad night. You've had some bad interviews once in a while. I can't remember any, but I'm sure you do.
I've had plenty. I guess the question, the problem is here for a lot of Americans.
This is starting to be one of them.
Going back to 2020, watch me.
Yep.
To people who are concerned about your age. And, 50 million Americans watched that debate. It seemed to confirm fears they already had.
Well, look, after that debate, I did 10 major events in a row, including until 2 o'clock in the morning after that debate. I did events in North Carolina. I did events in Georgia. Did events like this today. Large crowds, overwhelming response, no slipping. And so I just had a bad night. I don't know why.
And how quickly did it come to you that you were having that bad night?
Well, it came to me as having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting. And I let it distract me. I'm not blaming it on that. But I realized that I just wasn't in control.
But part of the other concern is that this seems to have fit into a pattern of decline that has been reported on.
Hey, you look like a deer in the headlights the entire fucking time.
Second, Biden's lapses are said to be increasingly common and worrisome. Here's what they wrote.
Mouth agape.
Spent time with President Biden over the last few months or so said the lapses appear.
This was earlier today, Perg.
More pronounced, and after Thursday's debate, more worrisome. By many accounts, as evidenced by video footage, observation, and interviews, Mr. Biden is not the same today as he was even when he took office 3.5 years ago.
Yep.
Similar reporting in the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. Are you the same man?
No, go listen to Bernie talk. He is sharp and on top of everything.
I also was the guy
Agira, welcome.
for the Middle East that may be coming to fruition. I was also the guy that expanded NATO. I was also the guy that grew the economy. All the individual things that were done were ideas I had or I fulfilled. I moved on. And so, for example, well, that was true then. What's Biden done lately? Today, just announced 200,000 new jobs. We're moving in a direction that no one's ever taken on. I know you know this from
Yes, you'll tell yourself you still got it.
Government. I took on Big Pharma. I beat them. No one said I could beat them. I took on all the things we said we got done. We were told we couldn't get done. And part of it is what I said when I ran was I wanted to do 3 things. Restore some decency to the office. Restore some support for the middle class instead of trickle-down economics, both from the middle out and the bottom up. The way the wealthy still do fine, everyone does better. And unite the country.
But what has all that work over the last 3.5 years cost you physically, mentally, emotionally?
Well, I just think it cost me a really bad night, a bad run. But, George, I'm optimistic about this country. I don't think we're a country of losers, that he points out. I don't think America's in tough shape. I think America's on the cusp of breaking through in so many incredible opportunities. This next term, I'm going to make sure we have straighten out the tax system. I'm going to make sure we're in a situation where we have health care for all people, where we're in a position where we have child care and elder care, free up, and all these things. The one thing I'm proudest of is, remember when my economic plan was put forward, a lot of the mainstream economists said it's not going to work. Well, guess what? We now have 16 Nobel laureates, 16 of them in economics, saying that Biden's next term would be, based on what he wants to do, enormous success. Trump's plan would cause a recession, would significantly increase inflation. I've made great progress, and that's what I plan on doing, and we can do this.
I understand that, and I'm not disputing that. What I'm asking you is about your personal situation. Do you dispute that there have been more lapses, especially in the last several months?
Can I run the 110 flat? No. But I'm still in good shape.
Are you more frail?
No.
Yeah, you are.
My schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he say?
He said, he just looked at me and said, "You're exhausted." I have medical doctors travel me everywhere. Every president does, as you know. Medical doctors, some of the best in the world, travel me everywhere I go. I have an ongoing assessment of what I'm doing. They don't hesitate to tell me if they think there's something wrong.
I know you said you have an
Buddha bean.
Have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation?
I get a full neurological test every day with me. And I've had a full physical. I had, I've been able to read for my physicals. Yes. The answer is
I know your doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
No one said I had to. No one said, they said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical evaluation that included neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. Not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation in the world. Madeleine Albright was right. And
he's running the world, guys.
Before I come out here, I'm on the phone with the Prime Minister of, anyway, I shouldn't get into detail, but
what?
Netanyahu. I'm on the phone with the new Prime Minister of England. I'm working on what we're doing with regard to, in Europe, with regard to expansion of NATO and whether it's going to stick. I'm taking on Putin. Every day, there's no day I go through, there are not those decisions I have to make every single day.
And you have been doing that, and the American people have been watching, yet their concerns about your age and your health are growing. So that's why I'm asking, to reassure them, would you be willing to have the independent medical evaluation?
There's a lot of time left in this campaign. It's over 125 days.
So
the answer, decision.
The right answer right now is no, you don't want to do that right
now.
No,
I've already done it.
You talked a lot about your successes at the beginning of this interview, and I don't want to dispute that. I don't want to debate that. But as you know, elections are about the future, not the past. They're about tomorrow, not yesterday. And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
George, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down. No one thought could happen. I'm the guy that put together the South Pacific Initiative with AUKUS. I'm the guy that got 50 nations, out, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well, to help Ukraine. I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget. These and
what?
When I decided we used to have 40% of the computer chip in it. We invented the chip, that little chip, the computer chip. It's in everything from cell phone to weapons. And so we
didn't invent that.
We're down to virtually nothing. So I get in the plane against the advice of everybody, and I fly to South Korea. I convinced them to invest in the United States billions of dollars. Now we have tens of billions of dollars being invested in the United States, making us back in a position where we're going to own that industry again. We have, anyway, I don't want to take too much credit. I have a great staff.
But I guess my point is, all that takes a toll.
It's all your staff,
You have
sir.
the mental and physical capacity to do it for another 4 years.
I believe so. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I did. Look, I'm running again because I think I understand best what has to be done to take this nation to a completely new level. We're on our way.
How do you figure?
And look, the decision recently made by the Supreme Court on immunity, the next president of the United States, it's not just about whether he or she knows what they're doing. It's not about a conglomerate of people making decisions. It's about the character of the president. The character of the president is going to determine whether or not this Constitution is employed the right way.
And we should note that ABC News offered Donald Trump the same opportunity for a one-on-one interview, and he declined. We'll have more of George Stephanopoulos' exclusive interview with President Biden in just 60 seconds.
I didn't figure we were getting commercials here. We don't get commercials. They just had to take the commercial break wherever the feed is going. They are inserting commercials. Phoebe, good evening. You missed the first 10 minutes of the Biden interview with George Stephanopoulos. It's not flattering. If you come into the interview thinking that he has all his marbles and he's up for the task, you can come away from this interview thinking he did well. If you come into this interview thinking that he is Dementia Joe and doesn't know where he's at, then there's a lot of evidence for that. Is that fair to say, chat? Is that a good summation?
Welcome back. Let's return now to ABC's George Stephanopoulos' exclusive interview with President Joe Biden.
Let me ask you a tougher, more personal question. Are you sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity to serve another 4 years?
Yes, I am, because, George, the last thing I want to do is not be able to meet that. I think, as some of the senior economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I'd go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I could get done what we got done.
But are you being honest with yourself as well about your ability to defeat Donald Trump right now?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
You say that, and let me challenge you.
Sure.
Because you were close, but behind going into the debate. You're further behind now by any measure. It's been a two-man race for several months. Inflation has come down. In those last few months, he's become a convicted felon, yet you're still falling further behind.
You guys keep saying that. George, you know polling better than anybody. Do you think polling data is accurate as it used to be?
I don't think so, but I think when you look at all of the polling data right now, it shows that he's certainly ahead in the popular vote, probably even more ahead in the
popular vote.
States. And one of the other key factors there is it shows that in many of the battleground states, the Democrats who are running for Senate and the House are doing better than you are.
Well, that's not unusual in some states. I carried an awful lot of Democrats last time I ran in 2020. Look, I remember them telling me the same thing in 2020. I can't win. The polls show I can't win. Remember 2020, the red wave was coming. Before the vote, I said that's not going to happen. We're going to win. We did better in an off year than almost any incumbent president ever has done. They said in 2023,
that's true.
All the tough races, we're not going to win. I went into all those areas, all those districts, and we won.
All that is true, but 2020 was a close race. And your approval rating has dropped significantly since then. I think the last poll I saw was at about 36%. The number of Americans who think you're too old to serve has doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed political calculus tell you that it's going to be much tougher to win in 2024?
Not when you're running against a pathological liar. Not when he hadn't been challenged in a way that he's about to be challenged. Not when people...
You've had months to challenge him.
Oh, I sure had months, but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things, like wars around the world, like keeping NATO together, like working... Anyway.
Eat cakes.
But look...
Do you really believe you're not behind right now?
I think it's all pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. And when
it is kind of a toss-up.
There's only one poll I'm really far behind: CBS poll and NBC. And
New York Times and NBC both have you about 6 points behind in the popular vote.
That's exactly right. New York Times had me behind.
I've been busy doing all the war.
Do with this race had me behind 10 points. 10 points had me behind. Nothing's changed substantially in the debate, the New York Times poll.
Just when you look at the reality, though, Mr. President, I mean, you won the popular vote in 2020, but it was still deadly close in the Electoral College.
7 million votes.
Yes, but you're behind now in the popular vote.
I don't buy that.
Is it worth the risk?
I don't think anybody's more qualified to be president or win this race than me.
You know, the heart of your case against Donald Trump is that he's only out for himself, putting his personal interest ahead of the national interest. How do you respond to critics who say that by staying in the race, you're doing the same thing?
Oh, come on.
Come on, Jack.
I don't think those critics know what they're talking about.
They're just wrong?
It's wrong. Look, Trump is a pathological liar. Trump is, he is... Have you ever seen anything Trump did that benefited somebody else, not him? You can't answer, I know.
I've questioned him and his allies as persistently as any journalist has.
No, I know you have. I'm not being critical.
Yeah.
I'm not being critical. But look, I mean, the man is a congenital liar. As I said, they pointed out in that debate he lied 28 times the Times, or whatever number, over 20 times. Talk about how good his economy was, how he brought down inflation, how this is the guy who, unlike only other president other than him is Hoover, lost more jobs than he created. This is the guy who told us to put bleach in our arms to deal with COVID, when over a million people died. This is the guy who talks about wanting to get rid of the health care provision we put in place. This is the guy who wants to give the power back to big pharma to be able to charge exorbitant prices for drugs. This is the guy who wants to undo every single thing I've done. Every single thing.
I understand that. I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But have you convinced yourself that only you can defeat him?
I convinced myself of two things. I'm the most qualified person to beat him, and I know how to get things done.
If you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
Well, it depends if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, I might do that.
Well, I mean, on a more practical level, Washington Post just reported in the last hour that Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators together to try and convince you to stand down because they don't think you can win?
Well, Mark is a good man. We've never had that. He also tried to get the nomination too. Mark's not. Mark and I have a different perspective. I respect him.
The calls are growing.
Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate. How will you respond?
I don't think you're going to vote Joe.
I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn. Every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. Stay in the race. None of the people said I should leave.
But if they do?
Well, it's like, they're not going to do that.
You sure?
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came down and said, Joe, get out of the race, I'd get out of the race. The Lord Almighty's not coming down. I mean, these hypotheticals, George,
But it's not that hypothetical anymore. I grant that they have not requested the meeting.
Somehow I ended up with Trump supporters in my chat.
I've met with a lot of these people. I've talked with them regularly. I had an hour conversation with Hakeem. I had more time than that with Jim Clyburn. I spent time with many hours off and on the last little bit with Chuck Schumer.
Old Chucky boy.
I had all the governors. All the governors.
I agree.
Sparkles his turn as well.
If you
Warlord didn't turn.
Told reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question.
You got your MAGA hat yet?
What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
You saw it today. How many people do you draw crowds like I drew today? You find many more enthusiastic than today?
He did not draw a crowd today.
I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. There's no question about that.
He can draw a big crowd, but what does he say? Who does he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble. We raised $38 million within 4 days after this. We have over 1 million individual contributors. Individual contributors. Less than $200. I'm not
trying to get a good.
You're proposing.
You haven't seen the fall off in the polls. You haven't seen the reports of discontent in the Democratic Party, House Democrats, Senate Democrats.
I've seen it from the press.
So much to analyze. And so for more insight on this interview, we're joined now by contributing political correspondent Rachel Bade, who's also author of the Politico.
Was it over?
Rachel, thanks for joining us.
I would be here.
I know that every source you have in Washington is going through the tea leaves and looking at it. Is there anything you or they saw tonight
that was it.
that is moving the needle on this?
Most of it was press.
Perfect performance going to move the needle.
Yeah, I was hearing even before this interview aired that
was the crowd.
Performance would sort of just prolong the inevitable right now. That Biden from
it was like a high school gym.
That people will not forget what happened last Thursday, even if he has the best interview possible here. And because of
how is he bragging about that crowd?
What we saw tonight is actually one of the worst possible scenarios for Democrats. He didn't do so bad that it's obvious and a whole bunch of Democrats are going to come out, go on record and say it's time for you to step aside. But he didn't do so amazingly that people are going to forget this. And
yep.
In this sort of limbo scenario. So, look, it wasn't as bad as last Thursday, but certainly not great, and that means more Democrats will still have concerns.
Yep, that was my take on it.
We're hearing about what Senator Warner is doing. We're hearing that Hakeem Jeffries is meeting with people. What do you think will come out of these meetings? What are you hearing?
Yeah, so I think next week is going to be a crazy week, Juju. I think
Biden is stepping aside next week.
A week now for congressional recess. This means they could avoid the press, they can avoid the cameras and not have to weigh in. But at some point, they're not going to be able to hide anymore. And a lot of people have been talking on background, they've been talking off the record, and they've been very blunt, thinking that, the Biden campaign, the presidency, his presidential campaign is essentially dead. And so we're going to see, I think, a lot more lawmakers come out. I think, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, they're hearing from a lot of concerned members. And these aren't just random members here. Mark Warner, the chair of the Intelligence Committee, he helps Joe Biden get his agenda through Congress. He has a lot of respect.
And this is friendly fire. This is a lot going on. Rachel Bade, thank you so much for your insights, as always.
Of course.
Now let's bring in our ABC senior White House correspondent, Selena Wang. Selena, some people...
It was supposed to be a 30-minute interview. It was only 20.
Cognitive test. How did the president score?
Well, look, this certainly did not quell the panic within the Democratic Party. In fact, it may have increased the schisms here. Now you have the camp of those who think that the president was just fine, that this is how President Biden normally is. And then the other camp who believe that this really underscores the challenges of his candidacy, that he didn't do enough to turn this around. I've been speaking with some donors and allies here who say that this didn't really change the status quo. Yes, it was far better than he did on that disastrous debate, but he didn't do enough to stem.
That was what I was expecting at the debate.
Have lawmakers, donors, and allies who are really waiting out on the sidelines, watching to see how he does in these rallies, in this critical interview, to decide if they want to continue supporting the president or if they want to join the growing chorus of those who are publicly calling him to step aside.
And how united is the support inside the White House? What are you hearing from?
It didn't help. It didn't hurt. It probably was the worst thing.
Yeah,
could happen.
I was talking to the White House, and they're calling this a solid interview. They believe that we need to focus less on the president's delivery and what he says and what he's done. The president, of course, has said to himself that 90 minutes shouldn't erase all the work that he's done in the last 3.5 years. They tout that he spoke about all the jobs that he's created, the work he's done around chips, on uniting NATO, on pushing back.
Solid for a dead guy. Solid for a corpse.
Joe Biden being Joe Biden. He was solid. He was never a spectacular speaker to begin with, and you certainly didn't get that today either.
And one of Biden's biggest surrogates, California Governor Gavin Newsom, is out campaigning for the president today, calling this an important weekend, saying,
I think we get Mamala.
What are Biden and his advisors looking for to determine what?
I think we get Mamala and we get
from all this.
Steve Beshear.
Yeah, Juju. I mean, look, polling is one thing, and the numbers have been getting worse. You have both the Wall Street Journal and
Harris Beshear 2024
Trump is widening his lead over Biden's, now at least 6%. 6.
Oh my God! A third Trump supporter in the chat.
Of course. For the inner circle of the advisors to the president, they are still strongly standing behind him. They still believe that he is the best chance for the party to defeat Donald Trump. In other parts of the White House administration and other donors and ally circles, however, they believe that this inner circle is too tightly around the president and that they aren't hearing all of the criticism from the outside.
Just to be clear, I condemn that. I condemn Trump supporters.
This is really a make or break it moment for the president, and he needs to continue to perform in these coming days. As I've been hearing from allies, it's not just one okay interview, one good rally. It's a successive string of days where the president needs to show that he has the stamina and mental acuity.
Selena Wang on another busy summer weekend. Thanks for your reporting and insights, as always.
Trump is great for content.
Us for this ABC News exclusive interview with President Biden. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis of the president's interview with our own George Stephanopoulos. Of course, coverage continues straight ahead here on ABC News Live. So
if you're watching on Twitch, I gotta send you to a commercial break. But when you come back, we're gonna hear from the newly elected Prime Minister of the UK. We're going to hear from the outgoing Prime Minister of the UK. We've got a few crime stories we're going to cover. Wild one out of Fort Worth, Texas for yet another night. On a roll this week, Fort Worth, Texas is. Stick around and find out why on the other side of the break here on the Troll Patrol Live. Hey, peoples. God damn it.
I've taken Mr. Nuts seriously.
Nuts.
What do you think?
He's kicking authority in the balls.
I think everyone should get a trophy.
Why?
Because The Special Olympics is an example of a situation in which people should, kids who normally wouldn't feel very good about themselves, like schizophrenics and cripples and people of that nature,
the cripples,
the ability to feel positive about themselves. And also, I'll be
the full name of the Crips gang.
There's a Republican in Detroit. Hi, Travis.
Hello. Speaking of new faces, I'm generally a voted Republican over the years, but recently I've become disillusioned with the party, and I found an independent candidate that's been getting some press lately called D's Nuts, and I was wondering what your views on that were, what his chances are.
And I don't know if you want to address that, Mr. Forbes.
Come on, Steve.
No, but I think you're going to see. By the way, talking about new names, you're going to see more. I think coming on the Democratic candidates. All of them are eligible for Social Security. What does that tell you?
By the way, D's Nuts has been identified as a 15-year-old farm boy in Iowa named Brady Olson.
Candidate named D's Nuts.
Oh, no.
Really? A candidate registered as an independent from Iowa has the legal name of D's Nuts.
No. Almost 1 in 10 voters in North Carolina say they prefer D's Nuts.
That's right. 1 in 10 support D's Nuts for president.
D's Nuts, and a recent poll in North Carolina actually had him polling at about 9%.
You are kidding me.
This actually looks like a D's Nuts third-party challenge might be able to swing the election a little bit.
Is he talented and skilled?
He may save the United States from whatever crisis we're in.
D's Nuts might be our savior.
That's it.
Vote nuts. Thank you. Okay.
Vote for D's Nuts.
Or not.
We're not.
Yes, that just happened. Journalism school, totally worth it.
And both front runners shadowed by
Say it.
D's Nuts.
Ah, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
For details, we turn to
Sing it, Mo.
That's how you're supposed to say it.
D's Nuts.
That's how you're supposed to say it.
D's Nuts. D's Nuts.
D's Nuts. D's Nuts. D's Nuts.
D's Nuts.
D's Nuts. D's Nuts. D's Nuts.
D's Nuts.
D's Nuts.
D's Nuts. D's Nuts.
D's Nuts.
What? D's Nuts.
First name is D's, last name Nuts.
Somebody actually filled out paperwork to run for president under the name D's Nuts.
Have you heard about candidate D's Nuts?
Yes, independent candidate D's Nuts. He's polling at 9%.
D's Nuts. There are about 500 random contenders out there, and it may seem like a joke, but some people have taken Mr. Nuts seriously.
Let's give props to Pooping on Company Time. Let's give a subscribe and a like. Share that shit. You'll get that. There you go. Candidate D's Nuts. I mean, you got a pretty sweet name clinically. That's the problem. I've got 2 really sweet names. I've thought about changing my name. Everybody would like me better if I was Justin Muffins. People probably click on the channel more just because of the name Justin Muffins. JustinFREAKIN is probably a turnoff. Justin Muffins, warm, welcoming, inviting. Delights the senses. Everybody loves muffins. But I've come so far with the name Freak. It's tattooed on my fucking arm. So it poses an issue. Oh, god damn. Everybody's back from commercial break, right? Still Spilly's tagline. Justin Freakin Muffins? I don't like. It's too clunky. It's too much. It's too much. I just need to be Justin Muffins. Apparently that's a popular. That's a popular sentiment in the chat that I should combine them. So I used to call myself Justin. My real name, for those who don't know, my real name is Mullins, and I used to call myself Justin Freakin Mullins. I did stand-up comedy, would call myself Justin Freakin Mullins. The Muffins thing comes from things would autocorrect my name to Muffins. I can't remember if it was a phone I had, or if it was Word documents, if it was, on Facebook in 2010 or whatever, and things would autocorrect my name to Muffins every time I typed it in. So, like, you know what? People would like me better if I called myself Muffins. And, like, the status on Facebook went wild. People loved it. I started doing the bit on stage. People liked doing the bit on stage. So, like, I kind of adopted it as my... When we come around to, like, 2015, 2016, and Facebook starts banning me all the time, I have an alternate account called Justin Muffins. And it didn't have my face on there. It's just a bunch of muffins. And then I even got to where, like, I would muffin current events. Like, the profile picture was always a muffin placed in some recognizable picture of a thing that had happened just recently. In the news, of course. I'd muffin up my pictures. Yeah, it's weird to call yourself Justin Muffins and come in and do cop shootings and police chases and graphic murders. Talk about how much I want to reform a woman who got methed out and chopped off her lover's head. Warlord, be sure to stick with us here. We're gonna, the next 15 minutes, all you, dog. All stuff you'll like. We're doing the side of the U.S. presidency you love. And then we're doing, God damn it. And then we're doing British. Donald J. Trump says he knows nothing about Project 2025. I have no idea who is behind it. I disagree with some of the things they're saying, and some of the things they're saying are absolutely ridiculous and abysmal. Anything they do, I wish them luck, but I have nothing to do with them. Are you convinced that he has nothing to do with them? Be a shame if I could pull up a video that might dispute the notion that Donald Trump has nothing to do with the people behind Project 2025.
Tell us what you're doing here. You two are now working together. These guys have come up with a plan that on the victory, the third victory, the second term, we hit the deck plates running, right? There's 4,000 appointees by a president, 4,000 to run the entire government. 1,000 of those, I think, have to be Senate confirmed. But 3,000 can start work day one. Walk through what you guys are doing. I know, and I keep asking, do you work for Johnny or does Johnny work for you, right?
I definitely work for John. So what we're doing with Project 2025 is we're recruiting the MAGA America.
And may note, this dude worked in the administration. I don't know about this dude, but this dude definitely worked in the administration in 2020.
First Republicans right now so that we can take D.C. by storm in 2025. We're not going to go in like we did in 2017, where the establishment took over and co-opted much of the personnel of President Trump's administration. We're more prepared this time. We're recruiting grassroots conservatives, and we want all of you, if you want to serve in the next White House, next State Department, next Pentagon, we want you to sign up. Tell your sons, tell your daughters, tell all your friends. It's project2025.org.
So, Johnny, okay, you heard that? If you guys want to serve, you've got to get engaged now. You've got to be involved now, because one of the big parts of this is networking. It's not just training people up, but those networks that we do with
got 'em high.
Organizations, with other organizations. Walk through, tell me what the plan is.
So we're collecting resumes. We're getting as much information as we can now to save the transition time on the back end. As you
may recognize him. He's pretty TikTok famous.
know, when a president wins or president-elect wins, things happen very quickly, and you have a short amount of time to staff an entire administration. It's also looking beyond the 4,000 and what we can do with the bureaucracy itself. So we're thinking of creative policy things as well that will integrate with this.
Well, hold it. When we talk about that, let's talk about schedule. I mean, is there going to be a plan in place to start to take apart the administrative state?
There has to be, and yes, there will be. The next president, if President Trump gets back in there, he needs to reorient the government that's in a way that hasn't been seen since Franklin Roosevelt did it with the New Deal. We need to gut these agencies. We need to start from scratch. We need to make a new government, essentially, because the one that we have now doesn't work for conservatives. It wasn't made for us. It's built against us. So we have to go back to the drawing board with these agencies.
Johnny, you've seen...
I would have figured most of the Nazis had high-pitched voices. Little bitch boys. That's what I would have figured. Not in it, that is not in the way that he was describing the New Deal. He meant like overreaching, stretching through every part of government. Multifaceted plan. You ready to do some British news? Britain has a new prime minister as of today. I don't know, when does he get sworn in? Warlord. This shit actually happens really fast, doesn't it? They take over in a couple weeks or some shit. Sunak's out of there pretty quickly. They don't do a whole lame duck period like we do over here. Rishi Sunak, now the outgoing Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, gave a speech earlier today.
I'm going to stop you there. Here comes Rishi Sunak.
Good morning. I will shortly be seeing His Majesty the King to offer my resignation as Prime Minister. To the country, I would like to say first and foremost, I am sorry. I have given this job my all, but you have sent a clear signal.
The Britain already has a new Prime Minister.
Must change, and yours is the only judgment that matters.
Love it.
I have heard your anger, your disappointment, and I take responsibility for this loss. To all the Conservative candidates and campaigners who worked tirelessly but without success, I am sorry that we could not deliver what your efforts deserved.
We should totally be more like Britain like this.
How many good colleagues who contributed so much to their communities and our country will now no longer sit in the House of Commons. I thank them for their hard work and their service. Following this result, I will step down as party leader, not immediately, but once the formal arrangements for selecting my successor are in place. It is important that after 14 years in government, the Conservative Party rebuilds, but also that it takes up its crucial role in opposition professionally and effectively. When I first stood here as your Prime Minister, I told you the most important task I had was to return stability to our economy. Inflation is back to target, mortgage rates are falling, and growth has returned. We have enhanced our standing in the world, rebuilding relations with allies, leading
Do the Brits use ASL?
and becoming the home of new generation of transformative technologies. And our United Kingdom is stronger too, with the Windsor Framework, devolution restored in Northern Ireland, and our union strengthened. I'm proud of those achievements. I believe this country is safer, stronger, and more secure than it was 20 months ago. And it is more prosperous.
Does it really look like he's saying what Rishi is saying?
Whilst he has been my political opponent, Sir Keir Starmer will shortly become our Prime Minister. In this job, his successes will be all our successes, and I wish him and his family well. Whatever our disagreements in this campaign, he is a decent, public-spirited man who I respect. He and his family...
No. When Rishi Sunak said, I wish his family well, the interpreter was like, and then like laughed. I think the British have a completely different system over here. Looks like he's getting ready to suck a dick right now.
Deserve the very best of our understanding as they make the huge transition to their new lives behind this door. And as
it's wrong of me to make fun of the accessibility option
in an increasingly unstable world. I'd like to thank my colleagues, my cabinet, the civil service, especially here in Downing Street, the team at Checkers, my staff, CCHQ, but most of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to my wife Akshata and our beautiful daughters. I can never thank them enough for the sacrifices they have made so that I might serve our country. One of the most remarkable things about Britain is just how unremarkable it is that 2 generations after my grandparents came here with little, I could become Prime Minister, and that I could watch my 2 young daughters light Diwali candles on the steps in Downing Street. We must hold true to that idea of who we are, that vision of kindness, decency, and tolerance that has always been the British way.
Okay, I feel like the interpreter may be a little bit ahead of him.
Of a number of difficult days. But I leave this job honoured to have been your Prime Minister. This is the best country in the world, and it is thanks entirely to you, the British people, the true source of all our achievements, our strengths, and our greatness. Thank you.
No, it seems pretty on point with strength.
Rishi Sunak leaving Downing Street as Prime Minister for the final time after 20 months in office.
20 months to suck a dick.
He began with a furrow.
That dress is wild.
His eye with an apology to the country, an apology to his party, apology to his colleagues who had lost their seats. But he went on to highlight some of the achievements he believes he had made in his time here, settling the country's economy, bringing back some stability after the political and economic explosion of his predecessor, Liz Truss. He said he would stay as Conservative leader until the formal arrangements to make his
fuck the billionaires
in place. Now, those arrangements...
So this is him going to tender his resignation.
It's unclear for how long he will actually remain Conservative leader, but he is not driving away.
Minutes away from not being Prime Minister.
To have any role at the top of his party again.
Whenever this aired.
Once arrangements are in place.
Probably early this morning.
As the Conservative Party leader, but you can see see him entering Whitehall there, and you can probably also hear some of the boos and jeers as the cars make their way off to Buckingham Palace.
Let's hear from the incoming Prime Minister. Let me see if I can get a better clip. Stick with it. Warlord is always correct. BBC, best coverage for these things. Here is Thur Keir Starmer arriving at Downing Street to become the new Prime Minister of Britain. Earlier today, probably fucking early this morning. Yeah, 13 hours ago.
Thanking and greeting his supporters, a beaming smile as he shakes hands with those who have supported him for so long.
The interpreter kind of looks like Chris Parnell.
Fadden, who's been the chief of this campaign, shaking his hand. Keir Starmer looking elated. That is an image of the Labour leader we have so rarely seen in public. Hugs, smiles, cheers, and handshakes. As he crosses over the famous street with his wife, Vic, as he often refers to her.
Becky? I was switching from the speaker to the headphones.
Line of supporters.
What's her name? Becky?
A hug there from his longtime aide. Such is the desire of his supporters, friends, to greet him as he makes along the line that it's taking him quite a long time to get to the lectern. They're enjoying every moment of this.
Can't blame him. I wish our elections happened in as compacted time, and like, this is fucking awesome. This is exactly how it should be. Lose a fucking election, you get the fuck out.
Waiting cameras in a second, but first,
Hey, you just missed it, Thread.
thank yous to friends, activists, and campaigners.
It wasn't a complete bomb, but it certainly wasn't a home run. It was mid at best. I said that before it even ended, and then ABC News came back, and they said the exact same thing. If you think he's out of it, you're gonna come away from the interview thinking, "Oh God, he's fucking out of it."
Good afternoon. I have just returned from Buckingham Palace, where I accepted an invitation from His Majesty the King to form the next government of this great nation. I want to thank the outgoing Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. His achievement
I miss you, Rishi.
Asian Prime Minister of our country, the extra effort that will have required should not be underestimated by anyone. And we pay tribute to that today. And we also recognise the dedication and hard work he brought to his leadership. But now our country has voted decisively for change, for national renewal, and a return of politics to public service. When the gap between the sacrifices made by people and the service they receive from politicians grows this big, it leads to a weariness in the heart of a nation, a draining away of the hope, the spirit, the belief in a better future.
He's actually really good. I've been paying attention this time.
Together. Now, this wound, this lack of trust, can only be healed by actions, not words. I know that. But we can make a start today with the simple acknowledgement that public service is a privilege and that your government should treat every single person in this country with respect. If you voted Labour yesterday, we will carry the responsibility of your trust as we rebuild our country. But whether you voted Labour or not, in fact, especially if you did not, I say to you directly, my government will serve you. Politics can be a force for good.
Serve you crumpets.
We will show that. We've changed the Labour Party, returned it.
Pretty much, Venus.
And that is how we will govern. Country first, party second. Yet, if I'm honest, service is merely a precondition of hope. And it is surely clear to everyone that our country needs a bigger reset, a rediscovery of who we are. Because no matter how fierce the storms of history, one of the great strengths of this nation has always been our ability to navigate a way to calmer waters.
This is kind of like an Obama-like election for them, right? Like the conservatives had been in power for years and years. Or maybe a Clinton election, and he guided them to victory after they had been out in the wilderness for over a decade. They have not been in power for over a decade.
And yet this depends upon politicians.
And they outed Corbyn with false allegations of anti-Semitism.
And moderation, as I do. Recognizing when we must change course. For too long now, we've turned a blind eye as millions slid into greater insecurity. Nurses, builders, drivers, carers, people doing the right thing, working harder every day, recognized at moments like this before, yet as soon as the cameras stop rolling, their lives are ignored. I want to say very clearly to those people, not this time. Changing a country is not like flicking a switch.
No, no.
The world is now a more volatile place. This will take a while. But have no doubt that the work of change begins immediately. Have no doubt that we will rebuild Britain with wealth created in every community. Our NHS back on its feet facing the future. Secure borders, safer streets, everyone treated with dignity and respect at work. The opportunity of clean British power, cutting your energy bills for good. And brick by brick, we will rebuild the infrastructure of opportunity. The world-class schools and colleges, the affordable homes that I know are the ingredients of hope for working people. The security that working class families like mine can build their lives around. Because if I asked you now whether you believe that Britain will be better for your children, I know too many of you would say no. And so my government will fight every day until you believe again. From now on, you have a government unburdened by doctrine, guided only by the determination to serve your interest.
To be clear, the British government is suffering from a lot of the same problems we are, but a lot worse.
And we will use it to deliver change, to restore service and respect to politics, end the era of noisy performance, tread more lightly on your lives, and unite our country. 4 nations,
They've had higher inflation. Their GDP growth is stalled.
So often in our past, the challenges of an insecure world, committed to a calm and patient rebuilding. So, with respect and humility, I invite you all
Brexit has really
join
hurt them.
this government of service in the mission of national renewal.
I'm pretty sure, Venus.
Is urgent, and we begin it today. Thank you very much.
I think that's pretty much any country.
Keir Starmer invited
Unfortunately.
the country to join him in his government of service.
There you have it, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. It's not a problem that is exclusive to capitalism, but boy, does capitalism make it a lot worse. Is that a good way of putting it? Do we have any more politics to do, or are we going to crime news? I think it's crime news. I don't even think I got any more politics shit. Yeah, you ready for some crime stories? That's what I think we'll be doing. Content warning. We're going to fucking Fort Worth, where crazy shit has been happening all goddamn week. Something's in the water down there in Texas. This one is brutal, it seems.
2 children are among 5 people who died in a night of violence in Fort Worth. Hello, I'm Heather Hayes. There were 2 unrelated shootings late last night, multiple victims. The first incident happened after a large crowd took over several blocks in East Fort Worth. Police say the crowd was anywhere from 200 to maybe 300 people. Between the gunfire and the fireworks, witnesses said it was chaotic, people scattering everywhere. Police say a woman died from a gunshot wound there. Another person died from a medical emergency. 2 others had gunshot injuries that they survived. Then, less than 10 minutes later, another shooting at a car wash in southwest Fort Worth. That's where the 2 children were killed, along with 1 adult. Fox 4's Dion Anglin has been working on the story, and she joins us live from the Fort Worth Police Department. Dion.
Hi there, Heather. Well, 3 people are dead from
the
scene, including the 2 small children, 2 little girls, 1 and 4-year-olds. They were sisters. And a 27-year-old man is now charged in the shooting, and police believe the violence stemmed from an ongoing feud between a man and woman who were previously in a relationship. The car wash appears like it would on a typical Friday, but instead, the furthest extreme is the case after a shooting here that left 2 small children and a man dead. A 4-year-old and 1-year-old who were sisters were taken by private vehicle to a hospital, but they did not survive. The adult was rushed from the scene by ambulance. He also died. Detectives on the scene searched for evidence well into the morning, trying to unravel the fatal shooting that unfolded in the final minutes of the July 4th holiday.
They look like they're baffled.
Besides the 3 deceased, 3 other people went to the hospital by private vehicles and have unknown injuries. Late this afternoon, police identified the suspected shooter, now charged in the case, as Kennard Trent Murphy. Murphy is hospitalized, according to police, because someone returned fire, injuring him. Police say homicide investigators are not revealing much in terms of information, as they are working feverishly to sort out what happened here. The scene that tragically ended the lives of 2 innocent small children and a man. Now, police point out this car wash shooting happened within 10 minutes after another fatal shooting, that shooting in East Fort Worth. And because of that, they say there was limited amount of available resources to respond to this car wash shooting. They say more information is likely forthcoming, but for now, very little to go on.
Wait, is this a completely separate incident than the kidnapping in Fort Worth? What is going on in Fort Worth, Texas? It was Fort Worth, Texas. Here is another story from Fort Worth.
Neighborhood where Fort Worth police say a young girl was kidnapped out of her home in the early morning hours by 2 men, and police say the 2 took her at gunpoint.
What?
They say it happened around 2:07 this morning on Gold Grove Road. They got a call about.
Oh, it's like it and what, Dallas are the same fucking city. Nathan, good evening. It's like all right there in a whole sprawl. So it's basically Dallas. It's quite populated.
About a robbery and a kidnapping. Once officers got here, they learned the 2 men took off in stolen vehicles. Neighbors tell me they didn't hear anything, but officers did knock on their doors asking for any ring camera video. Police continued to search, and around 2:51, they found one of the vehicles, and the suspect led them on a chase until that chase ended here. And this is the intersection of South Freeway and School Road. This is about 20 minutes from where that girl was taken. Police say once that suspect got out, he tried to run, but officers were quickly able to arrest him. Police also found the girl safe inside the vehicle.
Holy
shit. She was taken to the hospital. As for the suspect, he's charged with 4 felonies. Police say, however, they are still searching for the other man involved. In Fort Worth, I'm Richard Solomon.
What is going on in Fort Worth? It's almost like crime in red states is escalating. But that's anecdotal. That's anecdotal by us just, we're doing a sampling of the news every night. There have always been stories, crazy stories coming out of Texas. And okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, it's not just red states. I'm getting ready to hit you with a blue state right now. We're going to New York. We certainly do a lot of stories out of New York. Those are also population centers. That's a factor. A lot of people means that a lot of shit is gonna go down. Good in NYC.
Information about a horrific stabbing. It ended with an 8-year-old boy dead, his mother and father hurt, their other family members shot and killed by police. This family tragedy unfolded just after 5 tonight in the Jamaica section. The injured mother running from their apartment building toward the LIRR station. She was screaming for help, and what police encountered next left even the veteran officer shaken up. Forsyth Siegel has the story.
It's still early in the investigation, but police are describing an especially disturbing chain of events that led to the death of that 8-year-old boy and the mother
Like Dallas Tones
in the hospital tonight with stab wounds. Detectives camped outside this massive apartment building on 94th Avenue, investigating what officials are calling a bloody scene inside a small 5th-floor apartment. An 8-year-old boy stabbed multiple times in the chest, and a 43-year-old father with a knife to his throat. His adult son had begun to slash him.
He had his father over the kitchen sink, knife to his throat, cops behind. They gave at least 4 commands, both in English and Spanish, to drop the knife. He does not. They have to use their weapons to save this man's life, and that's what they did.
That knife shown here covered
What did he say?
beside a bag of tomatoes and a box of hamburgers. The 20-year-old son holding it died from his gunshot wound at the hospital, according to police. Witnesses who did not want to be identified saw police bring him out.
To me, he didn't look like
he was making burgers,
but you could clearly tell he was bloody.
What led to this violent scene is not clear. Law enforcement sources say the mother and father were out and then came home around 5 p.m. to find the 8-year-old clinging to life, blood everywhere. Police are looking into the possibility the 8-year-old and the 20-year-old are stepbrothers. Police say the mother was also stabbed in the back. She ran for help.
We know she was stabbed in the back, and she came out of this building. She went down to the MTA police, and simultaneously the front desk called 911.
There was an 8-month-old baby girl in the apartment as well who was uninjured. Neighbors in the building are having trouble comprehending the news.
Everyone is shocked. Everyone is shocked, and a lot of people are traumatized.
Police officers devastated they couldn't save the 8-year-old boy.
To see the emotional trauma on those officers' faces.
Don't give a shit about those officers' faces.
We could have got here a little sooner to save this young life.
Again, the 20-year-old son was shot and killed by police. The mother and father are both in the hospital with stab wounds. They are expected to survive. Reporting from Jamaica, Ida Siegel, News 4, New York.
Well, that's wild. Do this pharmacy in. Where's Chevy Chase? We've done stories from there before. What's the news station's out of Washington D.C. So is it like Maryland? Chevy Chase, Maryland, I think. Anybody ever been to Chevy Chase? Is it named after the actor, or is he named after the place? Chicken or egg?
Montgomery County police are searching for the suspects who robbed a Chevy Chase pharmacy at gunpoint in broad daylight. The Brookville pharmacy manager was pistol whipped before the suspects drove off with stolen pain medication.
He told News 4's Jackie Benson this is the second time he's been robbed in recent years.
And I looked up and the gun was right in my face.
Brookville pharmacy manager Scott Wilson says his first thought on realizing the store was being robbed at gunpoint Saturday afternoon was not for himself, but for the only customer in the store, a teenager.
And I went like this and waved him to get out of the store. So then the guy came out and he put the gun in, he pointed a gun at the kid and told him to stay there. And then I said something and he turned around and came back to me, and that's when he hit me the first time.
The decision cost Wilson a pistol whipping, but he says...
A pistol whipping!
And then the kid ran out, so just thank goodness the kid got out.
He says the robbers were in and out in about 4 minutes.
Originally, that's what their sole thing was for OxyContin, definitely. And then at the end, all of a sudden he decided he wanted money too, and he smashed both the registers on the ground.
These security camera images show two suspects fleeing the pharmacy and getting into a white car.
Maryland. It's in Maryland.
The person was behind the wheel. The vehicle, which had circled the lot minutes before the robbery, is a white late model BMW sedan with a moonroof and no front license plate. It is very similar to the vehicle involved in yesterday's fiery double fatal crash on Southern Avenue in the district. That is based on images from a social media account that captured part of the police pursuit before the crash. Anne Arundel County Police say that vehicle was wanted in connection with multiple armed robberies. Montgomery County Police tell News 4 they do not at this time suspect a connection to the Brookville pharmacy robbery.
This is a very residential area. There's the possibility that someone's doorbell camera or home security camera may have captured additional images of the robbers. In Chevy Chase, Jackie Benson, News 4.
A very old locale in Maryland. I did not see any like fun fact that Chevy Chase, like his parents, named him that by chance, or that his he adopted that nom de plume. Go to his wiki and find out, shall we? Cornelius Crane Chase. Is Chevy short for Cornelius? Cornelius Crane Chase. His dad was educated at Princeton. Fucking Chevy was some sort of heir. No wonder he got where he got. Always, always. I do not see anything about him adopting the nom de plume because of the locale. The two may be completely unrelated. A cab, motherfuckers. That's what Curiouser really got on to me. when I was having the argument with the libertarian. And I was like, I hope they beat the shit out of you. And she was like, a cab JustinFREAKIN saying he hopes the cops beat the shit out of him. And I was like, well, it was kind of like, the libertarians are just like, he was going for a specific line of questioning. There's no getting him to come off that like there's no way to have a state without violence. There is Curiouser. Wow. Ask and you shall receive. Good evening, darling. How are you? A cab to this as pro-Palestinian protesters scuffle with police in Philadelphia yesterday.
Right now at 10 o'clock, American flag set on fire in the country's birthplace on Independence Day. Protests breaking out right in Center City tonight and quickly escalating, forcing Philadelphia police officers to barricade sidewalks and make several arrests. It is Thursday night. I'm Gray Hall. Shari has the night off. The big story on Action News is the not so peaceful protest that took over City Hall tonight. A large group gathering showing their support for Palestinians amid the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. That scene quickly escalating with punches thrown and officers using handcuffs.
Oh, just punches?
Pender live for us tonight along JFK and North Broad Street with the very latest on what we're learning about this. Leland.
Yeah, great. The police response here was massive just a short time ago here at JFK and Broad. There were lots of street closures, but right now the road is back open. Police do say multiple arrests were made tonight as that pro-Gaza protest took a turn this evening. We did see some people in the back of a transport van as well. Police do say that water bottles were thrown at officers. And if you look right over my shoulder,
always sunny in Philadelphia.
The debris from where those flags were burned earlier tonight. Chopper 6 video shows patriotic bunting flags in a small fire, and a woman throws several smaller American flags onto the heap. Police say this began in Rittenhouse Square and grew to about 400 people. As they marched down Chestnut Street, an act of vandalism occurred, and that's when
God damn, there's a lot of cops.
Resources, and they say the situation changed. Once fires were started here outside City Hall, police moved in.
A handful of arrests were made. We're still working that out and sorting through that.
Carl Winslow looking motherfucker over here.
Type of behavior, absolutely.
We were talking about family matters earlier.
Always open to individuals, expressing their First Amendment right. We are here for that purpose of protecting and making sure that everyone has that ability to do so. However, once it turns violent, where there's a situation where individuals are going to destroy property, it changes the dynamic of everything.
Today is, of course, the 4th of July, so police already had quite a number of officers in the area, and they were aware of the protest, so they had a separate batch of officers assigned just to that, so they were able to respond fairly quickly. And police told me a short time ago it was so important to get control of the situation quickly because there are lots of people out tonight in Center City celebrating the 4th of July, of course not connected to that protest. Now, as far as the pro-Gaza group, why they were out today, well, they said on social media,
Fred, good evening.
We don't celebrate the legacy of genocide, colonialism, and slavery that July 4th symbolizes, but struggle for true liberation for all, end quote. Live in Center City, Leland Pender.
You couldn't get somebody to say that on camera, but then again, like, depending on it, like, if you didn't get like one of their actual spokespeople, and the protests have been pretty good about having actual spokespeople, you might not want one of them to speak on camera, to be completely honest with you. Oh, I'm sorry, Thread. Did I tell you good evening back then? Oh, we shooting off fireworks tonight. Several people were injured during fireworks-related mishaps. Fuzzy Face, good evening. Speaking of fireworks,
in several cities dealing with fires. Homes caught fire, trees caught fire, and in one city, a firework exploded in a man's face. KTLA's Omar Lewis live in the Hollywood Hills. Carlos, good morning.
What's up, Carlos?
Good morning. Yeah, those 4th of July celebrations turned fiery all across Southern California, from backyard blazes to explosive accidents. We saw that fireworks not only lit up the night sky, they also set the stage for danger. We can show you this video here from Reseda this morning. The Los Angeles City Fire Department responding to a backyard fire that quickly spread to multiple cars. Witnesses were seen trying to douse the inferno with buckets and garden hoses. Thankfully,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
But LAFD is still investigating to find the exact cause.
That's almost cartoonish. Her using that Gatorade bucket and doing fuck all. Like, that helped none. That helped no. God. I feel like I've seen a cartoon with that very sequence, going and getting a bucket and then getting the hose. I feel so sorry for him. Your house burnt down.
Fireworks not only lit up the night sky, they also set the stage for danger. We can show you this video here from Reseda this morning. The Los Angeles City Fire Department responding to a backyard fire that quickly spread to multiple cars. Witnesses were seen trying to douse the inferno with.
I don't even think she got it over towards the fire.
No injuries were reported there, but LAFD is still investigating to find the exact cause.
Maybe she was trying to keep it contained.
45 last night, emergency units rushed to South Dallas Drive near Catella Avenue. A man there suffering severe burns to his face and was transported to UCI Medical Center burn unit in critical condition. Witnesses there say the man was lighting a mortar firework that didn't initially ignite. As he approached to check, it suddenly exploded, causing him to fall and hit his head.
Don't ever do that.
Neighbors were shooting off big fireworks, and
As soon as he went to light it, hit him in the head, and it knocked him clean out, and he fell backwards.
The guy was getting ready to light off a bunch of mortars together, tied together, and the one couldn't connect. So what he did was he was going to just light that one off by itself. And when he went to light the one off, shot up, hit him in the face, and I think it hit him. And then when he fell back, busted his head and put a hole in his head.
Hole in his head.
Love the celebrations last night, capturing the spectacle and the sparks. In Northridge, though, fireworks set off a row of cypress trees just before midnight on Paso Robles Avenue. Embers rained down on nearby rooftops, but firefighters, they swiftly got the flames under control there. A similar scene happening over in Lincoln Heights, where video captured a fiery fiasco with a tree igniting from fireworks, possibly.
Doing in America.
About in either of those cases, which is the good news. But as you can see there, firefighters and first responders having quite the busy 4th of July. That's the latest here live from Studio City this morning. I'm Omar Lewis. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Omar, thank you.
Oh, that's another story we need to check out here in a little bit. Yeah, so we'll check in with Burl, getting ready to make landfall in Texas, apparently picking up steam as it approaches Texas. I hope it hits Fort Worth. Fort Worth needs a cleanse. This is horrible of me. What kind of a person am I? I'm trying to go from like the most gruesome to the least gruesome of the shit that I have to work with here. You want to go to Australia? This is kind of like I guess this is a thing that happens in Australia. Just some of your kids get eaten. Fuzzy face. Good evening. I may have told you good evening already, and if I did, I apologize. I'm really stoned. Australian police say a 12-year-old girl was killed by a crocodile.
Right, this morning, as a result of searching intensively overnight, the remains of the missing child were located in the riverbed, in the riverway. The recovery has been made. It was particularly gruesome and a
sorry, Toads.
Outcome. It was an extremely difficult, essentially 36 hours, difficult for the first responders involved in the search. But however, for the family, it is the most devastating outcome possible for them. They are in a state of extreme shock and disbelief.
Oh, we didn't get. I thought we
Thanks
were
for
gonna
watching.
Shut up, Lester.
Breaking news and top.
Oh my God, he's like my arch enemy now. You guys have no idea. It used to be Pitbull. What do I? Not the puppies. I love the puppies. Pitbull the rapper. He just pop up all the time. Fucking, you could ask Sparkles. We would go out to dinner and shit, and then Pitbull would like come on the TV at the bar that we went to get burgers and sushi and shit. And be like, there he is again. He pops up all the time. I do not like Pitbull. I'm kind of scared of him. I'm not lying, am I, Sparkles? Once again, this has been a freaky fucking night. where I have mentioned people and then they have popped up. This has been a 15-year. How long has Pitbull been a thing? About 15 years, maybe. Around. I feel like around 2010s when he was breaking through in the mainstream. Dale? 15 years over and over again. Pitbull. Just all up in my face. It's kind of subsided in the last couple of years. Haven't had so much Pitbull. Oh shit! I'm sorry. I forgot about the ads. Before we do this story, I'm gonna have to give you people that aren't subbed on Twitch. You're gonna get the ads. 3 minutes. Get them out of the way. We're just gonna be getting high and waiting on you guys, and then we're gonna find out about the former Colts player and his wife who are facing charges after their kid was found dead. We're gonna check in about Burl. All that and a lot more on the other side of the break here on the Troll Patrol live. Staying with you guys. If you're subbed, we still here. I should go get some more tea. I might try to stick it out. Tea time. Why did I say it like that? I can't believe. So, Sparkles, were you here for the? I don't think you were. Last night I played. I'll say it, Burl. Why are you always trying to correct me? I mean, unless it's like a country or something, I should probably say it right. But the name of a hurricane, I'll fuck it up all day long. Burl. Ozempic. You can't hear me right now, but you knew I said Burl and not barrel. I don't get it, right? Like it's almost 20 years now people have been saying that I say Borat wrong. And I still they'll be like Borat, and I'm like Borat. And they're like, no, it's Borat. And I'm like, no, you said Borat. I am saying exactly what you're saying. You're saying Borat. The character, my wife, Wooder. What's a Wooder? Borat. I say it exactly the way. Borat? Not Boo-Rat. My wife. Borat uses a crossbow. It takes me longer. It takes me longer to read things because I have to enunciate them, right? So I'm really careful. And also, so when I'm cutting out the my breaths and everything and the voiceovers I do, you're supposed to be able to go, and there's just a magic number when you there's a little tool that Audition has. You scan it. That's the magic number. You put that magic number in, and it's perfect. It takes out all your breaths and everything. It's everything below your normal talking range. But because I And it happens to me so fucking frequently because I really enunciate things, and the S's especially. It's the S's on the end of words. Because, and T's, a lot of T's as well. Because I'm from Appalachia, I have to really at the end of a word and shit, because they just leave shit off. I didn't even give a good example of it. I do not talk like anyone around here. The people that have this accent do, like, they ask me where I'm from here, and it feels like, you know, oh, I don't have the Appalachian accent. I go anywhere out of here. It drove a girl when I was a traveling photographer for Walmart Portrait Studios in the early 2000s. I had to, like, make announcements on the phone and shit to come over and get your $3.99 picture package, whatever the fuck, on aisle 4, wherever they had me set up. And, you know, like, I've got the radio voice and everything. I've already done radio for years at this time. And, like, I drove some girl wild because of my accent. And I'm like, what accent do I have, you know? People where I'm from ask me where I'm from. But apparently, it's far more noticeable to people away from here. Abby Wonder over here, born to be wild. Fucking A, I love it. Colts player, fucking wild. He and his wife facing charges after their 14-year-old son was found dead. Oh, I guess I should hit the content warning. We are back from the commercial. We're back, I think. Yeah.
This morning, a former Indianapolis Colts player and his wife are in jail accused of several crimes in connection to their son, who was missing for 2 weeks.
His father, Daniel Muir, is facing a domestic battery charge. He and his wife, Kristen, are both charged with obstruction of justice, so they're being held without bond.
Police tell us SWAT raided their property.
Not true. Not true, reverse thread. Because, like, it's like 5 hours to Memphis. Or, I mean, not to Memphis, like, about 5.5, maybe 6. And it's like a good 11 hours to get to Canada. I looked it up. I saw that, and as somebody who has driven all over the United States, I'm like, that can't be right. I know how many hours it takes to get places, and that don't work out. I saw it was a post that went around on Facebook, and even like a very official account, like the Northeast Tennessee Weather Association shared it out. I'm like, that can't fucking be right. 7 hours to Memphis. Yeah, it's like 11 or 12 hours to get to, like, the whatever it is up in Michigan.
Early yesterday.
So let's restart this.
Daniel, a former Indian.
So this is a former Indianapolis Colts player and his wife. They've been charged in the death of their kid.
Indianapolis Colts player and his wife are in jail accused of several crimes in connection to their son, who was missing for 2 weeks.
His father, Daniel Muir, is facing a domestic battery charge. He and his wife, Kristen, are both charged with obstruction of justice, so they're being held without bond.
Police tell us SWAT.
Wait a minute, maybe he wasn't found dead. It just says found on Wednesday, so maybe the kid was found.
raided their property.
Yay, the kid's not
Yesterday
dead.
morning, where Daniel leads a religious group in Logansport looking for their son Bryson Muir. Thankfully, we are told that he is safe. Right now, police say the Muirs have been uncooperative since the beginning of this investigation.
Well, I bet.
News spoke to the Muirs' lawyer at the courthouse. He tells us they're not guilty of the charges.
The Muir family, they've been improperly targeted, and they're not guilty of any abuse or illegal activity. They're entitled to their day in court and due process. Thank you.
Now, the couple will be in the Cass County Jail until at least July 16th. Another hearing is set to review their bond. The Muirs' trial is also set now for November 4th. Bryson, their son, we know now is in the custody of DCS.
I bet the hardest part of being a lawyer is, like, if you're a criminal, it's in your best interest to tell your lawyer if you did it or not. It really is. But I bet that's a hard thing for lawyers to get their clients to understand. Is it weird that I've thought about that? Because, like, in another life, I would have been a lawyer. I think I would have been a really good lawyer. What's over meth? What was... Oh, the Colts player that got charged? I mean, it looked like the kind of area. Is the kid alive? Did we ever really figure that out from the story? Man in California was found guilty of a hate crime after killing his gay classmate.
After the brutal stabbing death of Blaze Bernstein, the man who admitted to killing him is found guilty of first-degree murder. Samuel Woodward, he was convicted of murder with special allegations that the killing was motivated by hate.
KTLA's Sandra Mitchell has more on today's verdict and reaction from Bernstein's parents. She's live in the KTLA News Center. Sandy.
Rick, Cher, there were cheers, applause in the courtroom when this verdict was announced. We're going to show you that in a moment. Woodward's defense team agreed that their client did commit the murder, stabbing the victim almost 30 times. But they say it was involuntary manslaughter. Well, today a jury ruled it was a hate crime.
We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Samuel Woodward, guilty.
Head down, long hair concealing his emotions, 26-year-old Samuel Woodward heard the verdict against him.
Find it to be true that the defendant, Samuel Woodward, committed hate crime, first-degree murder.
An outburst of gratitude from the family and friends of murder victim Blaze Bernstein. The prosecution successfully arguing Bernstein was killed because he was gay. The family had waited 6.5 years.
Blaze Bernstein would be a fantastic porn name. Be a fantastic stage name, to be honest with you. What? Probably better than JustinFREAKIN.
Successfully arguing Bernstein was killed because he was gay. The family had waited 6.5 years for justice.
It cannot erase the pain of losing our son and the agony of waiting all these years.
Her name is Jenny Pepper Bernstein, or Janine Pepper Bernstein. Jenny Pepper Bernstein. If I did porn, if anybody wanted to see my hairy ass, I would totally be JustinFREAKIN.
Agony of waiting all these years without resolution. Blaze's memory will be honored through this outcome.
After just one day of deliberations and 5 days of rambling testimony from the defendant, the jury found Woodward guilty of murder with a hate crime enhancement.
You deserve to be a free person with free will and love who you love.
I don't even like muffins. This is porn names and talking about muffins is not doing the story justice. I am sorry to the family that I'm disrespecting, but I don't like muffins.
and that needs to be protected.
Bernstein's body was found in a Lake Forest park in January 2018.
Dog ass.
Jurors heard evidence that Woodward was associated with a neo-Nazi hate group and planned.
Fuck him.
Bernstein, a former classmate of Woodward, was a University of Pennsylvania freshman at the time he was killed. His mom today described him as funny, kind, and artistic.
He was an amazing human and humanitarian, and a person we were greatly looking forward to having in our lives, seeing wondrous things from him.
The conviction means Woodward likely will be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
This murderer will no longer be able to hurt any other people. This is a great relief that justice was served, and this despicable human who murdered our son will no longer be a threat to the public.
Woodward will be back in court for sentencing on October 25th. Live in News Center, I'm Sandra Mitchell. Rick, Cher, back to you.
They have real good parties in jail on Halloween. At least that's what Ricky says. This one also needs a content warning. We're getting into celebrity news. Apparently, the walls are closing in on one Mr. Puff Daddy.
New sex trafficking allegations. In a lawsuit filed yesterday, former porn star Adria English claims she was trapped in a cycle of sex trafficking she never asked to be a part of because defendant Combs knew sex trafficking allegations. In a lawsuit filed yesterday, former porn star Adria English claims she was trapped in a cycle of sex trafficking she never asked to be a part of because defendant Combs knew he could groom her. English says she met Combs in 2004 while performing at a New York strip club. She claims he offered her boyfriend a job if she danced at Diddy's parties. English claims she was coerced into using alcohol and drugs at those events before being sexually assaulted by various guests.
We going up, we going live. Can't stop, won't stop, told y'all.
This is at least the 10th lawsuit filed against Diddy alleging physical abuse and sex trafficking. He has consistently denied any wrongdoing. His ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura has accused him of rape and abuse. His former producer, Rodney Jones, claims Diddy repeatedly sexually assaulted him, and a federal investigation is looking into allegations of human and sex trafficking.
Mounting lawsuits against Sean Combs just creates more and more civil liability, more money that he might have to pay out if he loses.
This latest lawsuit comes as TMZ reports Diddy is selling his Los Angeles mansion raided by the FBI earlier this year. The rap mogul, hoping to make a serious profit, reportedly asking $70 million for a home he paid $40 million for back in 2014. With her lawsuit, Adria English is seeking unspecified damages.
Apparently, there's breaking news on the Diddy front as of today. As of yesterday. That Diddy is indeed being, we knew they raided his fucking house. Confirming that Diddy is under a criminal investigation by the feds. Lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs were notified last week by federal authorities that he is the subject of a criminal investigation. Two sources familiar with the disgraced hip-hop mogul's miasma of legal woes told NBC News on Wednesday. The insiders also said that a federal grand jury was hearing evidence as part of the investigation, but no criminal charges were imminent. A spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York declined to comment to NBC News' Combs legal team did not respond to requests for comment. The development comes 3 months after Combs' home in Los Angeles and Miami were raided by federal agents in a joint operation. Diddy did it. Diddy. Let's check in with the rapper. I am not rooting for Diddy. Okay, let's get that straight. I am rooting for Young Thug who has been on trial for years. Been on trial since last year. Did Diddy do it? Diddy did it. If you think Diddy didn't do it, you aren't up on the Diddy. I don't think. I mean, maybe some blockbuster evidence comes out, but it sure looks like Diddy did it. But I am totally... And here's the thing is, I'm pretty sure Young Thug did exactly what they're accusing him of. But I am totally rooting for him against the legal system.
Tonight, the future of the YSL trial involving rapper Young Thug. It is in limbo as questions about whether the current judge on this case should be removed from the case.
11 Alive's Grace King explains why the defendants want a judge outside the county to weigh in.
This is a really serious and scary moment for everybody involved in this case. It could spell the end of the state's effort to pursue justice, or it could lengthen the already longest trial Georgia's ever seen.
In Fulton County, accusations of judicial misconduct, putting the Young Thug RICO trial on hold.
This is a basic legal conflict. It's just a very high-profile conflict due to the people at hand.
A defense motion raises concerns about an ex parte or private conversation between prosecutors Judge Ural Glanville and Lil Woody, a witness who refused to testify on the stand.
This is someone talking about you behind your back when it deals with a life in prison kind of case. People are very aggressive in standing up for their clients' rights.
Attorneys for YSL defendants want Glanville removed from the case. Criminal defense attorney Joshua Schiffer, who isn't involved with this case, says any conversation without the defense could hurt their overall strategy.
What I want to know is, why wasn't I there?
Sir, I'm going to hold you in contempt.
Schiffer says the new question, who's qualified to make the recusal decision? Fulton County.
So yeah, that was Young Thug's attorney. He is badass. So this trial is one of the things that I had to come up with podcast names for a lawyer podcast. And what I came up with two really good ones, but like I wanted to throw some other options at them. So this trial was what sparked ex parte parte or ex parte party. It's still cracking me up, but I do not like it. I do like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it. But I don't like, for my clients, that is not my regular. I came up with two very good recommendations for my client. They are going with one of them, but it is not ex parte party. Ex parte party. So this is Young Thug's lawyer. The judge held him in contempt because he found out the judge and the prosecution had a meeting with one of the witnesses who had pled the fifth. I think he was one of the dudes that was accused of being like the gunman. See, Young Thug is accused of running this criminal empire and not actually murdering people, but having people murdered by his gang. And he probably did, because he fucking sung about it. He sung about exactly what was going on the streets of Atlanta. So the songs match the crimes. And the prosecution is using the lyrics in the case, which probably shouldn't be allowed, but you probably shouldn't rap about exactly what you're doing. So that the state feels that they have a good case against you. But this judge pulled some funky ass shit. They should not, you're not supposed to have a meeting with just one. He should have been involved if they're having a meeting in the judge's chambers with one of the witnesses and the prosecution. So it's a pretty open and shut case that this motherfucker should be yeeted out. It's a good possibility that this trial is going to be declared a mistrial. It was expected to go on until 2027. May very well be at the mistrial stage right now.
The new question, who's qualified to make the recusal decision? Fulton County Judge Belinda Edwards immediately recused herself from the case. A new motion hopes Judge Rachel Krause will do the same.
It's alleging that due to Judge Glanville's existing relationship
Freedom, good evening.
And his behaviors in this specific trial, there's no way an independent ruling can be issued by anyone in Fulton County.
Legal experts tell me time is of the essence because this case already has a jury attached to it. Judge Krause gave the state until July 8th, this Monday, to respond to those recusal motions. In downtown Atlanta, Grace King, 11 Alive News.
Thank you, Grace. I fucking love it. It started in November of last year, expected to last into 2027 and be the longest case possibly in American history. There's now been a motion trial to take it out of Fulton County. That might have been what they said at the end there. Yeah, but it could be a mistrial right now. Will the state try it again? Try it again. Wait a minute. We're here. This is perfect for the celebrity. We're in the celebrity section of the show. Apparently, Danny Trejo, Machete, was involved in some sort of parade fight.
Now let's take you back to yesterday. Water balloons were thrown at the classic lowrider Trejo was riding in, and then things escalated. Trejo, of course, is known for his restaurants, Trejo's Tacos, his acting, and his work in the community.
My dad took me away.
At the Pacoima home of actor Danny Trejo.
Yeah, that's me with President Obama. It was so cool.
The Wall of Fame is impressive. It's video of a 4th of July brawl that has the Machete star talking now. The Sunland Tahunga Rotary Club had invited Trejo to ride in its parade. He was there with 3 classic lowriders.
The senators in front of us, and they passed, and then we came, and then bam, all of a sudden our car got hit by a water balloon.
In the video, you see Trejo exit the car. Why?
When somebody yelled it was acid, I thought they messed up Tony's car.
Acid like a chlorine smell.
And somebody yelled, "It's acid!" And I panicked. I got out of the car to look, and then a balloon hit me, and then I saw the guy throwing it.
Video shows Trejo approach a man in the crowd. You can see him swing. Things escalate. The man swings as Trejo stumbles and falls.
Oh, wow.
And that's what bullies do. You know, they're really cowards. I did this in the 50s and the 60s, and, I'm still doing it. I'm 80 years old.
Mario Castillo was in the lowrider with and behind Trejo's. He feels they were racially targeted. He takes a serious punch and falls.
We weren't there to start no trouble. It was kind of like we're just confronting the people that were throwing balloons. It was a grown man.
Wow.
Castillo's arms are all bruised up. He says from being held down.
Would you have stayed in the car if you could do it differently?
Dude had to know that was Danny Trejo, right? Like one of the most famous people in America, at least, right?
Kept going. Well, I'm kind of like Danny. I'm gonna be with my best friend no matter what.
What's your overall message?
That, you know what, it's sad that people can wake up in the morning and decide to go down and ruin something for everybody else.
I asked Trejo, would he have done anything differently?
I am a protector. I will protect all my friends, always. And that's what I was doing.
Fox 11 would like to hear from the person that threw those water balloons. Last night, we did talk to a witness who thanked Trejo for coming out to the parade.
It is sad that you have to worry about, it could possibly be acid thrown at you. Wait a minute. No. We watched this car chase the other day. Apparently now the owner is talking about it. This is this Stolen Kia. This was the first car chase we watched the other night.
Ended with 5 teenagers running out of the car. You saw it all unfold on NBC4 yesterday. Today, we're talking to the owner of that stolen Kia in a story you'll see first and only on 4.
Yeah.
Look at that, blowing stop signs, just going right through intersection.
Didn't do it. They're innocent.
Kia Soul was being chased by the LA County Sheriff's Department on the 4th of July. Armin Black was watching and wondering, was that possibly his Kia Soul that was stolen from his driveway just the day before?
And I said, well, it's kind of ironic, a silver.
Oh no, I thought we were hearing from the perps. We're hearing from this is apparently a stolen Kia, and this was the guy that owned it. I wanted to hear from the dude that was driving. I wanted to know his reasoning for running.
Kia that was reported last night when I reported, so I kept my eyes on it, and then I said, yeah, that was my car, and it didn't feel good.
This one very quickly becoming very dangerous.
It turned out it was Armin's car. The driver behind the wheel was reckless on the roads before coming to a stop in Hawthorne. That's when 5 teenagers, all under 18, jumped out of that Kia and ran.
Multiple suspects.
Are they just fucking around?
Watch my car in a high-speed chase. Fortunately, they didn't get in an accident, but still, you invaded my space.
But
fortunately, the cops didn't shoot him.
Armin by surprise. The 5 teens were taken into custody. The driver was booked for operating a stolen car, while the other 4 were released back to their parents.
And they're back on the street to perhaps break into another car here, who knows when, and there's no repercussions.
Unfortunately for the owner of the stolen vehicle, this is standard operating procedure when you have criminal activity committed by minors.
Retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey says unless the crime is a violent felony, in most cases, underage suspects are released to their guardians.
Probably best.
Imagine that the belief system was that, their brains aren't fully developed and they don't know what they're doing. And so we can't treat them as harshly as we could a hardened criminal. But we're starting to see young people engage in criminality at a younger and younger age.
Armin says this crime has led to his car being totaled, affecting his job.
We have less crime now.
And his time. And he says he expects justice.
I think the kids are doing less crime.
There should be a consequence commensurate with the crime, but understand this, even if they were dealt with as an adult and they're first-time offenders, they probably still would only get nothing more than a slap on the wrist.
If they don't do anything, it's just going to be a wild, wild west, and you can do whatever you want to.
The Wild Wild West.
Says he's in need of a new car after his insurance company totaled the car due to damage to the steering column. The driver is also facing charges of felony evading.
Well, this is a cop live on patrol.
We met up with
where we
a family.
This is, oh my God! This is Sheriff Felcher.
They left candy and they gave us a bunch of gift cards.
I'm not shitting. It says it right there. Sheriff Felcher.
They were amazing, but I until I read the box, I didn't know there was THC in them.
You liar.
They're laughing about.
No, there wasn't THC in the backseaters, but they
doing gummies.
They were some candy, right?
Oh yeah, and some chocolate, some milk chocolate,
yeah.
Which was wonderful. It was a ginormous bar,
yeah,
and I ended up I took it home a couple days later.
Well, there you go.
I had about 3 squares off it, and I said, no, I can't. This is
Sheriff.
I can't keep
Felcher.
So you brought it back?
Live on patrol.
Well, I never got a piece.
Comments are turned off. They got like 6,500 people watching on this Friday night.
See it.
Oh, it's a Friday night. They're bound to fuck with somebody soon.
Yeah, I've discovered
they ain't gonna go far without fucking with people.
It's not.
Let's hang out with these guys for a little bit. Sheriff Felcher.
So we're on Highway 61 coming up into downtown White Bear.
They're gonna give us commentary.
There is the main harbor that has Admiral D's, Tally's, BFW, and a variety of other places.
I did not. There's no.
The VFW?
Oh, yeah. Alley Cats, good spot. Used to be the meat market.
Would you like me to create one?
Love it.
Does every town have a restaurant called Alley Cats?
No, we have a blanket one. I'll just pull that one. Thank you.
This VFW here is a really great VFW. Great view of the water.
Yeah, and they hosted some Ukrainian vets that were in town.
Where are we? Did I ever find that out?
I did not know. Oh, I wish I had known.
It doesn't tell us.
Your boat club, which is a great
Go to their about. Oh shit. Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Felcher, Under Sheriff Mike Morton, and their deputies take you live on patrol through the streets of Ramsey County, Minnesota. Ramsey County, Minnesota, live on patrol.
You know, especially after losing a limb, you know, you could tell they were just totally committed to their country more than themselves.
Right.
They've been on for about 40 minutes and haven't fucked with anybody yet.
Is donated,
yes,
by the medical staff.
So I assume it's about time, right?
You know, some people gripe about, oh, our tax money going to this. No, it's not. It is all donated time, effort, and labor, a labor of love.
A labor of love. Being a cop is not a labor of love.
Here on Highway 61 up in White Bear Lake.
I don't know why I'm fascinated by this. That car was cool as fuck. I like to support the pigs. No, I'm pretty ACAB.
Where's the American Legion up here?
I've done ride-alongs. The cops used to all know me when I was doing the news.
Can't say for certain. I'd be guessing.
Well, a shout out to my friend Victoria who works there, who
Victoria.
Homemade burrito tacos.
Shout out to you, Victoria. Love burrito tacos.
Thing is, Pat,
isn't that cannibalism for him?
Don't like.
Lima beans.
I mean, he's using beef.
Because in order just to be objective, you're giving out 8s, 9s, and 10s all the time.
Beef shanks.
You got to give off like a 2 and a 3.
Yeah, I can't do that. Can't do that.
Curiouser vouched for me. What do you mean she vouched for me?
If there's a place I give a 2 or a 3 to, I just don't.
Ooh, oxtail.
That's kind of you. That's kind of you. So you see a lot of people walking to downtown White Bear tonight.
Yeah, I don't think Curiouser has ever vouched for me doing anything.
To meet us, just heard me. She says, "Oh yeah, you like the kid."
If anything, she put me down.
In fact, I started eating it.
We are live with Sheriff Felcher.
Stop. She goes, "Yeah, that's the problem." You know.
I love that his name is Sheriff Felcher.
Most things.
Well, we already went by the VFW quite a ways back.
Is it really me licking the boot, or was it just me really wanting that dude to have the fuck beat out of him? Practically deep throating it. I was like Senator Kennedy.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life.
Surprise is still
then
coming.
I want you inside of me.
We've been on a wild ride tonight.
On 4th Street. Thank you, Larry. I've got to get up there.
I do not like pain in a sexual way, for sure. I don't like pain in any way. Definitely not in a sexual way.
Rudy's Red Eye Grill. There's the bear where we go for
I do not have a pain king.
New Year's Eve bear drop. New Year's Eve.
And I'm not like I'm bad at like trying to choke people or slapping. I can give you a little ass slap, but that's about as far as I can go.
To the Ramsey County Beach. White Bear Lake, Ramsey County Beach.
You can go fuck with people at the beach?
Up here a couple blocks. And as you know, our water patrol patrols all the water.
Patrol patrols all the trolls.
Do an amazing job.
Just say that 5 times fast, fuckers.
There's a reason for that. Let's see if anybody...
You're in Minnesota.
That's why all these cars are parked out here.
Concert?
Take a look at the comments and see who knows.
County fair. Comments are turned off, you fucking pig.
We're celebrating 24 hours of independence.
Comments are turned off, you fucking pig.
Hours of independence, right?
Right. Somebody said fireworks at White Bear tonight.
That's correct. The fireworks were delayed 1 day. They were delayed 1 day.
They're so stupid.
Right now there's going to be 0 parking in here, but since we are responsible, we will get ourselves in here.
Oh yeah, it's probably Facebook Live.
372, I copy.
What do we got here? Who's working?
They're going to stop talking to the cop, buddy.
We'll slide down here and then cut over.
There's some event going on. They've probably lost cell signal because there's a lot of people.
So, I don't know what we're doing.
Because that is a packed parking lot.
How's it going? How you doing?
There's a concert.
Are you keeping it from the parking or what?
Correct. County fair, rodeo.
Oh, this is Mike Servodka, Commander Mike Servodka?
It is.
How's it going?
Hi, Commander.
So far, so good?
Yeah, it's probably like 8:30 there
How are
too.
The mosquitoes?
Not too bad, but the sun just went down.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, we thought we were live on patrol, Mike. Commander Mike Servodka is in charge of this entire operation. If the fireworks go into the...
I'm bored with them now. I thought they were going to go harass somebody. They're probably on their best behavior. That was an example of propaganda. See if there's anything else wild that's happened since we've been on stream we need to cover. Because we just been winging it since the fucking L.A. and Fort Worth. Those have been the 2 places we've been watching all kinds of shit go down. One kid has been killed. 9 other people have been hospitalized. This was live 10 minutes ago on the scene of this gnarly accident. One person killed.
During the broadcast,
chicken winging it. I'd love to have some chicken wings right now.
It was related to a crime scene at
Quesadilla.
Avalon and Century, which is right.
Quesadilla, good evening. I didn't feel like that was an enthusiastic enough acknowledgement of you the first time. Especially because, like, I'd kind of like some quesadilla, too. Chicken wings and quesadilla. God damn. Perhaps it's because there was a person who died. Perhaps they tried to resuscitate him there on the scene. They had to extract him from a car. They set up their little tent. It's fucking hot. This is not live, but it's as close as live as you can get. They were just live 10 minutes ago. 1 person dead. 9 people injured. Wonder if there are people riding in the back of the truck. Migrant workers or something. Any kind of worker. You don't have to be a migrant worker to ride in the back of a truck. It's efficient sometimes. You got a bunch of people going to the same job site. That truck is fucked. I mean, it's weird to me there's 10 people injured. There's only 2 vehicles involved. Unless there are people in the back of the truck. This is in LA. God, it's been busy in LA. It's been busy in Fort Worth. Hell of a scene. Oh, Sparkles, you still here? Perhaps you heard about this next story. Since we're doing car crashes, we're gonna go to Madison, Alabama, where I used to work for this TV station, Way 31. It's amazing we never really do any stories from them.
News at 6, a scene out of an action movie. This morning, folks in Madison witnessed a trash truck slamming straight through their home. Way 31 reporter Paige Meyer joins us live from Madison. And Paige, can you walk us through what happened exactly?
Rob, yes, I can. Now let's just take a look here at the path of destruction. Now the car barreled down this hill, striking this fence, and you can just see the debris left behind. Now the garbage truck continued through this yard before striking a vehicle and then entering the yard you see behind me, where it struck another 2 vehicles before entering the home.
Holy shit.
Was inside of the 3 vehicles that it struck, nor were they inside of this home. Now neighbors who heard all of this commotion this morning did not expect to see a large garbage truck inside of their neighbor's house.
I was like, there's no way that happened, because I couldn't believe it.
Complete shock as several watched authorities remove a garbage truck from their neighbor's home.
It's like something out of a movie, because like you don't see this every day.
Friday morning, a Madison City fire inspector witnessed the truck swerving down Sullivan Street. He saw the truck veer off the road and hit several cars before crashing into the home.
It's amazing no one was hurt.
Within 3 minutes, both police and fire were on the scene. The only injury was the driver of the trash truck.
Within 15 minutes, we had the driver out of the structure, and 10 minutes later, he was on the way to the hospital.
Look at that car! Absolutely demolished. Crushed under that truck. Fucking took out half the house. The house is probably going to have to be completely demolished. There'll be no saving it.
And I don't know the extent of his injuries.
The homeowners were at the beach when they received the call, but several neighbors bear witness to the sounds of the truck crashing into the vehicles and home.
I heard this loud bang.
Stash.
Rockets on the arsenal or something. I came outside. I was not expecting to see this.
Bailey, who lives across the street from the crash, along with several others, were relieved to learn their neighbors were not home.
The homeowners were, I believe, on vacation somewhere, so it's a blessing. You got to count your blessings from a tragedy, and this is what we have.
Several neighbors want to know how the truck driver managed to crash his vehicle into several cars and this home. Madison City Police.
Yeah, there'll be no saving that house.
This incident. Now we're working to learn how this truck driver managed to lose control and cause so much damage here in this Madison neighborhood. Make sure to stick with Way 31 News for updates. Reporting live in Madison with coverage you can count on. Paige Meyer, Way 31 News.
I didn't know any of those people. That's the way it was at that TV station. Like it wasn't. It was like a revolving door of the on-air people. It was described to me as the TV station. You worked there on your way up or your way down. It was that kind of place. Both the anchor and the reporter seemed like they were very good. And that's what we had, like 2 really good reporters and like 2 really good anchors, and then everybody else kind of. So it was when I worked there. But all the production people are probably exactly the same. Smash, good evening. Could have been a medical emergency. I would be a good anchor, Venus. Before I left that TV station, I really wanted to I really wanted to do like after everybody had left, because I was in production, right? I was going to have the director stay after everybody had left and let me go out and put on a suit and sit behind the desk and read the teleprompter from that night, so I could have like a demo of me anchoring. Because I believe I totally could. Now, granted, I probably shouldn't get high and do it anymore. I used to get high all the time and work on the radio station back home. I feel like I kind of slur my words a little bit. I'm not as good. I'm not as sharp. If I was to get an actual job broadcasting, I would cut back on my smoking. If you're just joining us, we watched the Biden interview on ABC News earlier this evening. It was weird. They aired it at 8 o'clock on the main ABC, but we got to watch it at 8:30 on the online ABC. I'm checking the latest headlines, see if we've got any Ooh, yes, we need to do this. This is a story I've had bookmarked for a while. Here, this one's good too. If Sparkle's still here, she'll like this. This is right up her alley. Even more so than the garbage truck.
News tonight, a woman is claiming self-defense after shooting and killing a man near a 4th of July event in Central Phoenix. 12 News journalist Sean Rice has more from where that shooting happened.
Nearly 24 hours after a 51-year-old man was shot to death here inside this apartment complex parking lot behind me, police were still here combing the scene. Now, police are deeming this shooting self-defense after an argument during a First Amendment demonstration turned deadly. Now, Phoenix police arrived here shortly before 8:45 last night to find one person with a gunshot wound and another with stab wounds. Despite attempts to treat the person who was shot, they did die here on scene, while the person with stab wounds has survived. Officers arrested a woman on scene who was believed to be involved in the shooting, but after being transported to police headquarters for questioning, she said she shot the man out of self-defense. After consulting with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office,
get it, girl,
was released from police custody. Now, the name of that male victim who died here on scene has not yet been released. This police investigation is far from over. Phoenix police say they will continue to monitor the situation, and whether this woman will be charged, that determination will be made after their investigation concludes. In Phoenix, Sean Rice, 12 News.
Oh, if you're not subbed, I'm going to have to give you them ads. We're going to do a couple of stories and right into Echoplex. I'm still going to be here for a little bit. We're going to give you them ads. If you want to say goodnight, smoke a little more pot with us. I'm gonna have another bowl here. Stick around after the ads, and we'll right into Producer Dave. Let's get us a bowl packed. Smash, I can give you George Stephanopoulos asked the very same question. Basically, it was, are you going to step down? Are you going to step down? Do you really think you can do this? But do you really think you can beat Trump? But do you, it was no other topic. Oh, sorry. I was going all about it. Let's get some marijuana going. Totally answering. Marijuana in your brain. There are fireworks Oh no, you'd much rather talk to us than go watch Biden. I ran her off with ads. That's why I hate the ads. But I feel like the least intrusive way. Would you rather me split it up and we did like 1 minute ads every 20 minutes? Would that be less intrusive? I feel like smash with the sub. Oh, reverse thread, giving the gift sub. Thank you, thread. If you guys think like 1 minute ads every 20 minutes would be less intrusive than doing the 3 minutes at the end of at the top of the hour, we can do that. Anybody have an opinion on that? 51 seconds left now. The problem with doing 3 1 minute ads is that I'm forgetful and I'll probably forget them very often. I also... Yeah, you got your gift sub, so you don't have to worry about the ads. If we did 3 1 minute ads every 20 minutes, it kind of breaks up my flow. Thank you, Freedom. Thank you. I mainly only play. You're seeing what I have no clue what YouTube hits you with. And if you're using an ad blocker, totally more power to you. So I have no clue what kind of ads you get on YouTube. We were talking about the Twitch ads. Yeah, I think just getting them out of the way all at one time. What breaks up my flow, too. I get in a flow. I'm in a groove. I think everybody's back from the ads now. Let's get high. Everybody get high. Oh, Smash for the Biden interview. It's all one question. George Stephanopoulos is like, "Do you think you can do this? Are you going to step down? Are you sure you can beat Trump?" Oh shit, can't remember your login. There's no recovery. But so he did like a mediocre job. He did a real mid job. If you went into it thinking that Joe Biden was Dementia Joe, you had enough ammunition to say that was a real bomb. But if you went into it thinking that, he's up for the task, I support him, I'm on the Joe train, then you would come out of it thinking, yeah, he looks strong. I hate ads. Trust me. I've been doing my best to avoid ads for decades now. It has been since like I was living with my parents in my early 20s and had a TV in my bedroom that I have watched ads consciously just because, like, do not watch TV. I lived with, when the crack whore and we had a TV service. I mean, I take that back, like, wrestling and shit. There's that fucking, oh my god, during WrestleMania, there was that, Wheatley, so good I drink it neatly. And I was about to go nuts over that fucking ad. And Battle Opossum kept singing it over and over and over again. I think it was done before his rally. His rally was like at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. I almost came on for it, but I had some shit to do. So I would assume that he had the interview with Stephanopoulos about noon, if I had to guess. But yeah, like when I lived in the crack whore, we had, a DVR that was with this is like the end of the end of the 2000s. So like DVRs were really big, came with the cable package. Oh my God, that was a godsend. Be able to fast forward through commercials. I specifically would, wait until things had been on 30, 40, 50 minutes. That way I had some cushion to not have to do ads. I do that with my XM. So I traveled a lot and I would listen to XM radio. I listened to a lot of talk radio, but I hate ads, and there's a shit ton of ads on talk radio. So as I was driving, I would listen to CDs for the first 30, 45 minutes, and the XM recorded for an hour. And then I could rewind, and then I could fast forward through the ads, and then, I could do it again, listen to some CDs, jam out to some music. I've been doing everything I can to avoid ads. I do not consume very much advertising at all in my life. And it is usually something where it's live, the Super Bowl, that I might watch. I don't even usually watch it just for the performance. I pirate. I'm a tightwad. I pirate. And also, here's the thing. I used to gladly pay my Netflix subscription. My HBO, I had HBO for years. I used to keep all that, because it was a good product and I got value for it. But now they just charge way more. The interfaces don't work and the content is shitty. So there is no reason to pay for Netflix or Hulu. I will say that once WWE goes to Netflix, it's possible that I will keep a Netflix subscription. Some kids were missing in Indiana. They have been found after a raid of a religious compound. So this seems like it's a wild story that's right up our alley.
59 Newsroom.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we found Bryson, and that's who we were wanting to find.
And Fox 59 continues our team coverage of breaking news this afternoon. A young boy considered missing for more than 2 weeks is now safe, and his parents, including a former Colts player.
Oh, wait a minute.
Daniel and Kristen Muir walked out of the court.
Well, this is the same story. We just covered this
during their initial hearing. Thanks for joining us here first.
So the kid is safe.
And I'm Max Lewis in for Aaliyah today. Fox 59 has team coverage on this story, from the charges that couple faces to our exclusive footage of this.
That was the religious compound.
Morning's raid, and to a look at the group behind that compound.
Yeah, we were going to begin in court here, though. Fox 59's Michael Van Scoik joins us now from the Cass County Courthouse after sitting in on that hearing.
He looks like he should be in a comedy troupe.
Well, Nick and Max, we heard that Cass County Judge Stephen Kitts denied bond for former Indianapolis Colt Daniel Muir and his wife Kristen Muir. Now, the two of them facing multiple charges. The judge cited reasons for denying those charges as the pair being a potential flight risk. Now, this came as a surprise to Muir. You could
He's weird, Ted Cruz.
Upset by this decision. You could audibly hear making remarks to his attorneys about this decision. Now, Muir and his wife, Kristen, are both charged with obstruction of justice. Daniel is also charged with domestic battery in this case. Now, defense attorneys say Kristen is a nursing mother and asked the judge for a possibility of a GPS monitoring system from the court. Judge Stephen Kitts says this decision to
I want to know about the Colt.
Has been based on the couple's failure to comply with anything over the past 2 weeks. Daniel Muir's defense attorney did briefly speak to us on camera, telling us he's shocked by the judge's decision to deny bond.
Your family, they've been improperly targeted, and they're not guilty of any abuse or illegal activity. they're entitled to their day in court and due process.
Now, in the last hour and a half, we also got a copy of the probable cause affidavit that mentions that DCS is investigating other potential claims of abuse within the family. Meanwhile, defense attorneys for the Muir family would not go into specifics of this case. We also know that they'll be back in court on July 16th at 9 a.m. That's for another hearing where they'll discuss the couple's bond and a no contact order. For now in Cass County, Michael Van Scoik, Fox 59 News.
All right, Michael, thank you. And as we told you earlier, 14-year-old Bryson Muir was found safe during a police raid this morning.
And Fox 59's Eric Graves was the only reporter on that scene during that raid.
This happened on Wednesday.
He brings us more now from the Cass County Jail.
For the time being, Daniel and Kristen Muir will remain here in the Cass County Jail. They were brought here this morning.
He is
after police
really ginger.
raided their property in Logansport. We were the only station there to capture police as they conducted that search. This is video we shot exclusively Wednesday morning showing state police covering one entrance to this remote, large Logansport property, marked with signs saying "Welcome to Straightway Indiana Goshen," a religious group headquartered in Tennessee. Law enforcement had rifles at the ready as an armored IMPD SWAT vehicle sat inside the fence. Multiple SWAT teams, canines, and a bomb squad began a raid of the homestead-like property with multiple homes this morning at 6 o'clock. Just minutes into the operation, law enforcement found Bryson Muir, a teen missing since June 16th, safe.
And ultimately, after 3 weeks of, reaching out, he was found, located. So definitely win in our books.
We saw this IMPD SWAT vehicle leaving the property through the gate.
Who's the kid with now?
After their entrance, an officer inside the vehicle coming over the loudspeaker to thank the people inside the property for their cooperation. ISP Sergeant Stephen Glass says a lot of planning went into the raid executed before the sun came up, especially since they didn't know how the Muirs and others on the property would react.
There was some question whether or not they would be cooperative or not. However, it went smoothly for the most part.
The Muirs property is just off U.S. Highway 24 in Logansport. Bryson's parents, Daniel and Kristen Muir, left in handcuffs. They're pictured here in their mugshots, taken early this morning at the Cass County Jail. Former Colts player Daniel Muir is charged with obstruction of justice and domestic battery. State police say the second charge is from injuries Bryson's grandmother reported to police on June 16th. Kristen Muir is charged with obstruction of justice. As we reported, the Muir parents have had little communication with state police about their son, even backing out of a meeting last Friday just before a silver alert was issued for the teen. The pair appeared in court today. We talked to Cass County Prosecutor Noah Schaefer after the arrest.
Level 6 felonies carry a potential penalty of up to 2.5 years in jail.
He's with his grandparents.
As for what's next, the Muir parents were not granted bond on site of a flight risk. Bryson is now in DCS custody, but there could be more children DCS is looking into.
I do know that DCS has an open case that involves a number of juveniles.
Neighbors we talked to around the Muirs property did not want to go on camera this morning.
They're the ones that reported it.
She heard the helicopters overhead early on this morning, and when she turned on the news, she was not surprised to see what was happening. Another neighbor telling us through his doorbell that he wanted nothing to do with his neighbors. Reporting in Logansport, I'm Eric Graves.
All right, Eric, thank you. Now, property records show that the compound police raided this morning is owned by a group called the Servant Leaders Foundation.
I feel like everyone's leering at me.
The nature of that organization remains a mystery. Now, Max has been looking into this all day, and Max, it appears there is some connection between the foundation and 2 former Colts.
Yeah, that's right, Nick. Take a look at this property. It's huge, 120 plus acres made up of several parcels that were all purchased back in 2020 by either Daniel Muir, the Bryson's father, or former Colts defensive end Robert Mathis. They spent close to $2 million on the property, and then in November of last year, each of those parcels was transferred over to what's called the Servant Leaders Foundation. Now, we couldn't find any registered business or nonprofit with that name. The foundation has some kind of connection with the Straightway Ministries, which is a Tennessee-based religious group. According to its website,
kind of neo-Nazi shit, isn't it?
Separated from mainstream society, and they advocate for a return to biblical law. There have been some accusations that
they were black.
Now, it's led by Pastor Charles Dowell, who spoke out on the raid today and threatened to get revenge.
It's totally a cult.
The blowback from a false allegation probably ain't going to be too good. Especially when you have the backing of the ministry behind you. Because see, right now, all this seems to be at the forefront, and everybody seems to be pointing fingers and laughing and jeering and all those stuff. But you better Straightway is not going to be taking any of this lying down. We coming. You better believe we coming.
It's a black militia.
Dowell said the state police made a mountain out of a molehill with this investigation, but he gave no explanation as to why the Muirs didn't initially cooperate with the authorities. State police says the focus of its investigation was on Bryson and not the religious group. As for the Servant Leaders Foundation, which owns the Logansport property, we were able to track it back to a business in Kokomo. We're going to have that part of the story coming up.
Kokomo? I can't start a cult. I have charisma, but I don't have like the kind of charisma that you need to be a cult leader. People see me and they don't like me. Like 50% of the people that see me automatically don't like me. When I do stand-up comedy, I only appeal to like 25-30% of the audience tops. Maybe 40% if I'm lucky. Kind of doubt it. So I like a cult leader is one of those people that like you see them and you automatically like them. They have like a thing that draws you to them. They're beautiful and I turn people off. I know this. I'm abrasive. My voice is abrasive. The way my mannerisms are abrasive. It works against me on the stream. I'm aware of my faults. We're going to go to San Jose. I don't know, police make this happened like 4 days ago. Police make 7 sideshow arrests.
In the middle of a sideshow, a San Jose police officer was attacked.
What do we mean by sideshow?
To help an injured spectator. Today, authorities announced 7 arrests in that case. KTV's Ann Rubin joins us now from San Jose. And Ann, this is really part of a much bigger picture crackdown on sideshows.
Is that what they call freak shows now? It says, ask me about my kitties. Or it says, ask me about my cats. And it has pictures of cats, yes. There are kitties on my shirt. I don't have as many as I used to. At one point in time, I had probably the most cat-related shirts anybody could have. I had a lot of them.
Using technology and the law to hold offenders accountable.
I love cats.
Yeah, authorities want people to know if you bring a sideshow to San Jose, there will be consequences. In this case, there have been 7 arrests so far, and police say more could be coming.
What are we talking about sideshow?
When this San Jose officer was attacked in the thick of a sideshow, the video went viral. But that fleeting fame will have lasting consequences.
What's your kitty's name?
The police chief.
Be assured, we will find you, we will arrest you, we will send a resounding message to you and your fellow lawbreakers. Not in San Jose.
And with that, they announced the arrest of 7 people, including a juvenile. Some had jumped on the police car. Others tried to smash the windows. At least one allegedly threatened the officer with knives as he rushed to help an unconscious spectator.
These rolling incubators of crime are fueled by a mob mentality and a perverse thirst for internet fame.
But that notoriety may be their undoing. Police say they're using social media as well as video from body-worn cameras and license plate readers to track them down. They're also using data science to track sideshow trends and a collaboration with the University of Chicago Crime Lab to establish best practices in dealing with them.
We are setting a very clear expectation in San Jose that we're not going to tolerate sideshows. We've passed laws that are indicative of that. It is illegal to promote or spectate at sideshows, not just to be the one driving.
Oh, we're talking about like a Fast and Furious thing.
And felony charges will act as a deterrent and keep sideshows out of San Jose.
Mama.
If not, the district attorney says participants be warned, this is no game.
Will find themselves in real trouble, in real jail, behind real bars.
The people arrested came from all over the Bay Area. One of them was even from Arizona. Officials say dealing with sideshows is actually a regional problem. They're now establishing a working group to try to make a more regional solution. In San Jose, Ann Rubin, KTVU Fox 2 News.
this entire time. Mad23, good evening. I read that whole fucking thing to you. My mic was muted, wasn't it? Molten lava forcibly erupted from the Voragine volcanic crater on the majestic Mount Etna along the coast of Sicily. This happened yesterday. After 3 weeks of steadily intensifying volcanic activity, a violent Strombolian eruption. Strombolian sounds like a good thing to eat right now. I'd love to have a Strombolian. And a volcanic plume cloud over 3 miles into the sky, and a dramatic display that you're seeing on your screen right now. Strombolian activity is a relatively low-level volcanic eruption during which a modest amount of energy is released. Authorities closed Sicily's Canania airport on Thursday after streams of red-hot lava spewed from Mount Etna, covering the skies of black smoke and ash. Layers of ash also coated nearby towns, and people in Canania were seen sweeping ash off of the streets. Picture it, Sicily, 2024. You get the joke. You're in the cool people club. There is pictures of townspeople in Catania. Probably Catania, isn't it? Sweeping ash off of the streets. What a gorgeous fucking city. I'm really thinking about cheese right now. I don't know what it'd be like to sweep ash off of your doorstep. Now we're gonna check in with. Let's go live. We got a live shot as has made landfall past overland. It is now on its way to Texas. It is our friend Burl. We don't have sound. Just want somebody to break it down for us. Apparently, battered Jamaica.
Beryl. It has hit Jamaica with winds recorded of nearly 100.
She said Hurricane Beryl. I was right.
The island's southern coast overnight. The death toll has risen to at least 10 across the Caribbean and is widely expected to rise, whilst almost 500 Jamaicans have been evacuated from flood-prone communities. Meanwhile, worried tourists flocked to Cancun airport hoping to leave the Mexican resort town ahead of the arrival of Hurricane Beryl, which is expected to hit Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula on Thursday night. The vast Category 4 storm has left a trail of devastation as it barrels its way through the Caribbean.
Barrel's barreling.
On one island, Union, 90% of homes have been destroyed or damaged.
God damn.
Central America correspondent Will Grant has this report.
Having ripped off roofs and tossed aside homes as it tore through the Caribbean, Hurricane Beryl has now hit Jamaica. For days, the island's government has said that the storm's destructive force was not to be underestimated. The Beryl would lash the country with high sustained winds, strong gusts and heavy rain. They also warned of life-threatening storm surges too. And even within the first hours of the storm making landfall, streets in the capital, Kingston, began to flood, damaging homes and businesses. An evacuation order for low-lying areas was put into place, and the Prime Minister stressed that residents of at-risk communities should move to safer districts.
We urge all Jamaicans to comply with notices to evacuate if and when they are issued. However, even without the issuance of notice, if you live in a low-lying area and an area is historically prone to flooding and landslide,
yep, friends in low places.
If you live on the banks of a river or a gully, I implore you to evacuate to a shelter or
a fern gully,
safer ground.
The coming hours will reveal just how much damage Beryl has wrought in Jamaica, but other islands show the devastation it can cause.
How gorgeous.
In Carriacou, off the coast of Grenada, entire communities have been left homeless, with buildings destroyed or rendered uninhabitable. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Union Island was among the worst affected places in the Caribbean, receiving the full brunt of Beryl's power. Beryl is an unprecedented storm. None have formed as quickly or have intensified as fast in Atlantic hurricane history. And satellite pictures show it's not done yet. As the storm leaves Jamaica's territory, it will
This is the first one of the season.
The tourist resort of Cancun is directly in its path. Just as people in Grenada,
they're going to get worse.
And in Jamaica had prayed for the best as Beryl drew near, now Mexicans are crossing their fingers in the hope that this extraordinarily powerful storm begins to weaken before it reaches their communities too. Will Grant, BBC News, Mexico.
Well, let's go live to Jamaica now. We can talk to Curtis Kitchen, who is there on holiday with his family. Curtis, welcome to BBC News. Whereabouts are you?
I want to go to our current update about where Beryl be going up the Texas coast. If I will get my wish and it will wipe out Fort Worth, Texas. I have no idea where Fort Worth is. If it's next to Dallas, I think Dallas is nowhere near a coast. I think, but I don't know any geography.
Weather Chief Bill Taylor is tracking the tropical storm, and Bill, the landfall forecast seems to be changing by the minute.
It really is. I mean, more and more signs are showing that it does get picked up in a steering current that moves it farther up the Texas coast. Right now, it's a tropical storm getting ripped apart across the Yucatan Peninsula with winds of only 65 miles per hour. It's below Category 1 status by 10 miles per hour. So it won't take long for this storm to get back out over open waters where it will feed on that warm Gulf water.
It's going to get stronger.
Category 1 strength. It's moving west-northwest at 15 miles per hour, and millibars on that pressure closer to 1,000. That's always kind of the threshold on a tropical system. All right, so here's what we expect. Still a tropical storm midday tomorrow with winds at 65 miles per hour. Then by Sunday,
yeah, I figured Fort Worth was safe.
Brownsville should regain Category 1 status by Sunday afternoon with winds of 75
Corpus
miles per
Christi
hour.
is not.
And right now, the new landfall forecast, Corpus Christi, right over Rockport, Port Aransas at 1 p.m. on Monday. So this is dramatically changing, mainly because if it takes this right turn as anticipating, well, then it's going to be out over open waters longer, and we push back the landfall time. It could be as early as Monday morning. You'll start seeing some of the outer wall brush along the Texas coast. But notice that the cone of probability still moves as far east as
you're really hung up on the
once inland
cult thing, aren't you?
This track and
Mr. Mystery.
A little northeast. We stay
Good
on
evening.
the very quiet side of this storm, and we don't see as much rain as earlier anticipated. In fact, the new rainfall forecast.
I'm not the person for a
with
cult.
San Antonio on the cutoff, right across Bexar County, of only 1 to 2 inches of rain. And that might not even be a long shot if it takes that right turn.
Totally had a girlfriend that was into frolicking naked in the
across
storms.
areas east of San Antonio. All right, we've got full team coverage ready to go on this storm and its Texas impact. Meteorologist Paul.
I think a lot of us are going to get rain.
Texas coast beginning tomorrow.
I got rain today. Had to hold Smokey tight earlier this afternoon as storms rolled through. I don't have an animal video ready. I didn't think this far ahead. I'm gonna reuse one just because it's so fucking awesome. This fucking aardvark. If you weren't here the other night, you need to see this fucking aardvark. I didn't know they were furry. I'm gonna make something with cheese. I've been thinking about it for like an hour. I got a really nice block of sharp cheddar. What am I gonna do with it? I don't know. I'm gonna just straight up eat cheddar cheese like right as soon as I get off. Within a minute, I will have cheese in my mouth. Oh, there's an anteater. There's an anteater. Eat the cheese like a Snickers. Well, I mean, I was thinking, okay, so I got hamburger meat. So I was thinking like I could make like my own like little cheese sauce thing and do like a hamburger. Like I've got noodles And I could use the hamburger grease to make a cheese sauce with the noodles and the hamburger. I could have like a hamburger helper kind of deal. But you know, homemade, holiday, good evening. What, that I'm gonna have a heart attack because all I do is eat like creamy cheese stuff? Yeah. Oh, that's what I thought you were saying, my brother. You're like, my brother, you're gonna have a heart attack because you keep eating like a kid that wants mac and. I like a sophisticated mac and cheese too. I made I don't want to call it a spaghetti last night because it was like a tomato cream sauce. I do. I'll probably have a salad with it. But I'm almost out of cucumber and I think I'm out of tomato now. So it'll just be like lettuce and a little bit of cucumber. I don't even think I have any crispy onions. I should have got crispy onions when I ordered groceries. I love crispy onions. Crispy onions on a salad. Mwah, mwah. I got some old bread that may be perfect for croutons. I might toast it a little bit. Get me some crouton action going on since I don't have anything else. It's just like the hill of some bread I finished off. And it's probably just before it gets moldy, just kind of stale enough. It'd be perfect. Croutons. I'm definitely hungry now. I've sat here and talked about food. Oh, is producer Dave not on? I can't take you to producer Dave because there's no producer Dave to take you to. Gouda mac and cheese. Gouda is one of my favorite cheeses to use in a mac and cheese because it has great flavor. You get like a smoked Gouda and shit, and it melts well. It melts well. It's 11:30 p.m. I'm gonna send you. You told me you had some brie I could have like 2 weeks ago. You got some moldy brie now. Now, fair enough that cheese is mold. Smokey, get out of my shit. I don't know that I have. I would love to do a cooking video. I've thought about it. I've thought about ideas for cooking videos and cooking streams. I've thought about how I would make it happen. I don't have a lot of time. And I feel like the politics is what I do best. You do cooking and do Justin Muffins be in the kitchen. Have a completely separate brand, so might be able to cultivate an audience. What in the fuck is? I was gonna send you to Kai because I don't think I've rated him since I've been back. Is not. Twitch has redone its interface, and I don't like it as much. Shitification of everything. Yeah, I don't see Kai, so I see Jack. Let's go see Jack. If you're watching on Twitch, you'll be right back, I guess. Shit. That's what I was saying. I was gonna take you to Kai, and I can't get him to pop up for me because I gotta like type it in and make him come up, and he's not popping up for me. If you're watching on Twitch, we're gonna head over to Riverboat Jack. I guess she'll be right back. Says she'll be right back. I hope she won't lie. She's a good people. She wouldn't lie. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you probably Sunday night on the Troll Patrol Live. Maybe I'll pop up tomorrow. Who knows?